So, hello everyone and welcome back to some more Tyranny here on Twitch streams and later on in YouTube as well. And first of all, we're gonna be talking to our three companions here, of course, and Lantry is the one that we already did talk to last time around. And I'm not 100 positive yet that we're gonna be keeping Ep, just because, well, we haven't actually talked to her yet here, but probably, even though I will be missing Landry, so it's kind of a shame, but we'll see. Let's start by talking with Verse, our first companion.
So, the Scarlet Chorus and Disfavored are at each other's throats. Can't say I didn't see that coming, but the Archons might have waited until one war was over before they started another.
Might have been better, yes. Do you think I made the right decision?
Fighting with the Disfavored. Oh, not the call I would have made, but I'm sure you have your reasons. If you like iron weapons or something about that purple uniform excites you, then be my guest.
Well, at least she doesn't exactly mind.
Who can say? War is all about compromising your morals, deciding who lives and dies. What seems like a mistake turns into your greatest call down the road. Let me make one thing clear, just so that there aren't any misunderstandings. You support Graven Ash, and I couldn't care less. I'm here because you've done what none of the Archons could. Not even the voices of Nerat would fault me that.
Alrighty, that makes sense. So I'm grateful that we can have this sort of a discussion. Of course, the voices of Nerat could be still using her, but I do believe her reasonings. Like, we did do something that none of the Archons were able to do. Actually managed to get here, get this freaking place. So, makes sense. Thank you.
He's also a complete bastard, and I wouldn't want to miss an opportunity to stab him in the gut and take control of his army. So, there's that.
Maybe you should be taking control of the armies of the voices of Nerat. I wouldn't mind that.
I'll say this much. Our time together is anything but dull. My blades are yours for as long as you'll have me.
Noted. I have questions for you.
What do you need?
Let's see, is there anything new? There is something. So that's the same. Have either of you noticed that you fight practically well together? I think I would like to start from there. We'll see. Hello, Zaz. You're the first one around. Hyvää iltaa. Good evening to you. Welcome to the stream. Hope your week has been a good one.
The thought has crossed my mind from time to time. During the many battles of the Conquest, we found ourselves standing back to back with enemies on all sides on more than one occasion.
The big guy here is as useless as an empty scabbard without his phalanx to keep him alive, but I move fast enough to compensate for it. And it's nice having a living wall of rusted iron I can use for cover.
Yes, I'm sure it is. How do you think this is possible?
I would suggest that our fighting styles complement each other, but they do not. I would suggest that we get along, but we do not. We don't even finish each other's
Sentences, eh?
Sentences? Okay, that was strange. Did you hear that? The next time I catch a whiff of Barrick's meaning, I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Yeah, you don't want to get along. Well, I would like it, to be honest, if you two could try to train together a bit.
Absolutely not. Our fighting styles are incompatible, and any disfavored lieutenant will tell you not to join at the hip soldiers who can't stomach each other.
I'm inclined to agree. If you want to pair up fighters, there has to be some great passion or magnetism between them. We don't have it.
I'm so tempted to do this, because that's like... Actually here the bluff option seems like a reasonable thing to try. So if neither of you is up for the challenge, then I won't force the matter.
A valiant attempt, but I'm not as easily swayed by your courtly tongue.
Insufficient reputation. Why? Fine.
Neither am I. At least, not in this context.
So why won't you be giving it a shot?
I think that because I don't want to covers it pretty well. Training alongside this self-important braggart is likely to sap whatever patience I have left.
I can see that you're out to serve the best interests of the war, but we are accustomed to handling ourselves as individuals rather than as a pair.
Fine. For now, at least. We can discuss this again later. Verse. What's the other
Your service, Fatebinder. What
other
do you need?
thing, though? Other thing, I would like to discuss our apparent connection with Barrick. Your apparent connection with Barrick.
You've just got to know, don't you? I suppose there's no point in hiding it. Barrick and I are siblings. We share a father, if little else.
Okay, so actually, you guys actually properly do know each other nonetheless. Sure, you may not like each other. Sure, you may be completely opposite, as in you've gone into Barrick is into disfavor, and you've gone into Scarlet and everything, but apparently you're still siblings. Sure. Same father.
I try not to think too much about some northern merchant dropping anchor in my mother's port, but it happened, and the fortunate result stands proudly before you.
How did you two become aware of this?
There were a lot of lazy days during the conquest, and among other things, I spent my off hours using messenger birds as target practice. You should have seen Ash's anger when he heard that was going on. One day, I snagged a bird that flew from the hands of a proud northern daddy. The missive was about the goings-on at the family farm. I recognized the name and handwriting from a note in my mother's belongings.
Uh-huh.
There weren't too many people named Barrick in the army, so tracking him down was no challenge. I cornered him in camp, and we shared a few heated words. Some blackmail, even.
Blackmail?
She tried to extort rings from me, and I was having none of it. Not even Graven Ash would think less of me for our father's indiscretion.
I like your confidence, but my ring belt is feeling a little light these days. Maybe you want to take me up on that offer, or I can start whispering in disfavored ears. Think about it.
Well, it's not like they've known each other other than now. Very, very little time overall, so... How has this affected you, Barrick?
Well, Verse has a nasty habit of jabbering in my ear and making this war intolerable. I plan on parting ways and returning to the north at first convenience. My father will answer for his infidelity.
Uh-huh, so you did not like that at the very least?
Beyond that, I am happy to consider myself in every way unaffected. My superiors once accused me of having an impulsive streak, but I have worked to suppress it at every turn.
Well, to be honest, you are at least are kind of incapable of doing the same thing as your father did, as in cheating anyone, so even if you would have an impulsive streak, at least you couldn't do something like that ever. Hello 472 and welcome to stream. I hope your week has been a good one. Welcome to some Tyranny. Not very many around yet in here, so not very many people to say hey to, but at least some. See me at least, if no one else.
When you go back home, send Father my fondest greetings and thanks. If he hadn't gone to ground on my mother's dry dock, I might not be here today.
Probably wouldn't.
My heritage was a point of pride and distinction before I met you, Verse. Not that you would care.
Well, but it's not like it's Verse's fault that your father did that, so... Yeah. I am here, isn't that already enough? Maybe, I don't know, 472, is it? Is it enough? And hello, Pervados, welcome to stream for you too. I hope your week has been a good one as well. Have you noticed any significant impact, Verse?
I've asked myself about that several times, but unfortunately I don't have what you'd call a definitive answer. The Northerners put a lot of meaning behind family and blood. Seems arbitrary to me, but I don't want to discredit it entirely. I told you about what happened to my Scarlet Fury sisters. The hesitation I experienced. Sometimes I wonder if that wasn't because of my connection to Barrick. He's stubborn, regimented, Everything I'm not. I suppose there's no telling for sure, but if I had to guess... Yeah. Sometimes I get messed up in my head, and learning I had a brother has helped me understand that better.
Alright. Well, maybe that's a positive then. In the end, maybe you guys can start to work better together in the future. A family bond and all. Okay. Do you even like each other's? Obviously a no.
I've tried to get along with that ironclad knot of oppression, but it would seem he's having none of it. Good riddance, then. The war's tossed us together, but nothing says we have to keep that going. The most we do for each other is try not to get the other one killed, which is more than you can say for most disfavored in Scarlet Chorus.
Well, I guess that's a start. That you battle together, so hey, that's a start. But okay, that also explains a little bit of Barrick's nonetheless hesitation before when there was the option of trying to kill Verse. As in, because she's on the Scarlet and we would be going and siding with the disfavored, that then hey, well, what about the spy in our ranks, as in Verse? But that's actually really cool, this connection between them then, I'd say. Quite cool.
What do you
We
need?
must. I wonder, should I? But on the other hand, I'm really not a duelist, so... on the other hand, I would really like to know what this is even about, so you learned a thing or two fighting in the Scarlet Core scared to duel?
That would be an understatement, and I thought you'd never ask. Since you're obviously at a huge disadvantage, I'll let you pick our weapon of choice.
On second thought, I'm not good at either one of those, so let's fight another time. I want to survive this day.
Feel free to draw iron or bronze anytime. I'll be ready.
Alright, thank you. Alright, what about Barrick then? Let's have a chat with Barrick as well. It's free training, yeah, but it's not like I want dual weapons or bows. I'm not planning to use either one of those, so... And yeah, it is still his sister no matter what, so I wonder what he would do if you let her get killed. Yeah, that's a good question, because yeah, then nonetheless that is a fact. Like she said, that it's more than most disfavored and Scarlet people would do for each other, as in trying to not get the other one still killed. So yeah, it's cool. I like it. Fatebinder, if you have a moment. Barrick stands at attention, his rigid bearing making of him an unmoving statue. There have been a number of times since I came to your service in which I have not agreed fully with your choices. And that said, never have I truly questioned your judgment. I hope this pattern holds after you hear the request I now make of you. Okay. If it's a hack you're looking for, I've got some bad news. Glare. Always the freaking glare silent. This is glare. Relax, Barry. Just tell me what's on your mind. I hope that perhaps the adjudicator would hear my case. Okay. Well, what are you talking about? I have been encased in this. He wraps a gauntlet against the shards of corroded iron and bronze that sweep across his chest. Sure, since Kairos' Edict of Storms made a grave of old stalwart. It occurred in service to the Overlord, and I would ask that the Overlord free me of its burden. But yeah, I would guess that he would be more useful. But on the other hand, I can definitely understand not wanting to be encased in this sort of armor shell for freaking ever. Like, I am happy to make the request or bring this to their attention, but it's also true that we can't order Kairos to do anything of a sort. It is his choice, but maybe he can still make a judgment about it. Tunod can't order Kairos to take your armor off. I just want him to know that nonetheless, that that's not a possibility. I hope that doesn't mean then that I wouldn't even want to try to bring it to the court. Like, I would just want to be able to say it nonetheless. So, I'll try. I have several daydreams that would take issues with your statement. Okay. I wasn't going to ask for the Overlord to do it personally. His metal plates grind together as he shifts. The forge-bound skill swore its service to the adjudicator. In any hope of my freedom from this carb as it exists, it lies with them, the forge-bound. Yeah, the mate smiths. Operation stars are overseen by the Tunon. Use magic a tool of augmented their personal craft. Soul Masters. But yeah, of course it might be more useful, but I think this would be nice to be able to do something about. So I will happily make your case to the Archon. Thank you, Fatebinder. He salutes rings like a poorly cast spell. I eagerly wait the Archon's judgment. Sure. Speak with petition. Yes, we shall try the petition for him. What's my standings? We're at least close to the loyalty and close to fear. Like, we're just close with Barrick on both of those, but not there. When with verse, we're just there so easily. Kind of silly. Syrian ain't anywhere. Not a surprise. Did we have anything else we can discuss?
Civil war divides the armies of mighty Kairos. The reckoning that comes of this failure will be great indeed. We find ourselves in the darkest times. Brothers and sisters who fought for a similar cause now skewer each other over blighted lands in the favor of distant powers.
What would you have done at Ventrian's Well?
Backing the disfavored was the only logical choice. Graven Ash is the only Archon worthy of your confidence, and you were wise to recognize as much. Naturally, I would have done the same. Whatever others might say about what happened in Vendrian's Well, you acted from instinct. I can't help but respect that.
Alright, so I have some questions for you before we move on.
What can I do for you?
No need to do that right now. I assume this is probably pretty much the same, but it's just that I can do it here too, but I guess there's no point.
The thought has crossed my mind.
Yeah,
The
it's
big
the
guy
same.
here is as useless.
Yeah, there's no point right now to talk about it. But hey, finally we got a loyalty ability. New loyalty ability. Woohoo! So it's Iron Tolling is that, then Iron Storm is that one. Let's put it a little bit like that. So this is one spare rest. Swords and javelins emerge from Parix's armor and fly into a cloud of iron above the Fatebinder. These weapons begin to rain down in a storm around the Fatebinder, damaging enemies nearby. Interesting. Wonder how that actually would be working out. Like, how does something like that work? Oh yeah, and then Ep. We have Ep as well in here that we need to be talking with.
Salutations, Fatebinder. Or should I now call you Lady of Vendrian's Well? The Spire Queen? Princess of the suggestive vertical slab?
Definitely at least not the princess of a successive vertical slab, thank you. Glare silently. Again. Yeah, it needs reputation, but I don't exactly know what sort of a reputation, so we'll see. Yeah, I'd say Fatebinder is fine, no need for other titles.
That is how I met you, so that's how it's gonna stick in my mind. So if I might ask, what is your plan now? The edict no longer looms overhead, and Kairos' conquest of the Tears seems to be slipping. What with the armies in civil war.
Well, first order of business is obviously that I should speak with Tunon.
I would counsel you to do just that. I'm sure the events of Vendrian's Well are best explained from your mouth to Tunon's ears. Furthermore, I'd guess the Archon of Justice would want to know your take on the Archons and their divide.
Indeed. All of them will fall. That's definitely not my plan. Well, I am still kind of improvising, so any suggestions?
My first suggestion would be to build a boat. Something durable, and take our chances on the high seas far from Kairos. I have a second and more practical suggestion. Look to the horizon and slightly up. By that I mean the other spires. We should see what's atop the others. Otherwise someone else might look first.
Indeed, it does seem logical. Even the first place, was it called? I don't remember what it was called, the place that I had covered previously. So that place also had a spire that we saw from atop here in a sort of a vision. So I think that is a logical place to go and head to for certainty. I don't suppose you've heard of others awakening the spires like I did?
Queens and kings of past ages have claimed the spires in the sense of, hey look, I put up a scaffold and hung a banner 1/10 of the height of a spire. But that's nowhere near the same thing as what we all just saw.
Yeah, definitely not.
So I say, let's see if the other spires react to you the same way this one does. If we don't, I'll take that as your way of saying you suffer from debilitating acrophobia.
Yes, that would make kind of sense. Well, I guess I will crush the remaining local opposition and complete the conquest overall. But I don't know what I plan to do with the Scarlet Chorus. If they stand against me, I guess I have to battle them, but I don't specifically plan to destroy them. All of them, most of them. It's just basically the Archon itself who is the problem, because he's the one that decides that, hey, you guys, go fight.
I see. I'm sure there's little I can do to persuade you otherwise. Just consider that the people of the Tiers will someday bow to Kairos. Why not have them bow to you instead?
It's just kind of like she's just suggesting that specifically I should be the ruler. I guess that's where I could try to go to, me overthrowing the Kairos if I'm able to be getting the spires and stuff like that. But I don't know, I guess we'll see where it will be leading us. But it's not definitely originally my plan. And hey, good evening to you, Milan, and hyvää iltaa, Tajunta. Welcome to stream to both of you. I hope you both have had a good week. Important thing, you will be only able to visit 3 locations and 1 will be closed. I mean, big one. I don't know if you have real choice. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. That's all I have for now.
Well, short of Tunon giving you orders on pain of death, you have the luxury of acting on your own volition. Though the Scarlet Chorus are likely to come for you. Whatever you decide, I'm at your disposal.
Thank you. Do you have a moment? Let's speak further.
What is it you need?
I would like to ask you some questions.
Ask away.
Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your name. Well, I was born Hazen Levenja, but for most of my life, and I suppose for all the days after, I'm known and will be known as Ebb. Tidecaster Ebb for those trying to be obsequious. I don't have any idea how to say that right now, at least. I've also probably used a bunch of aliases that are going to haunt me at some point. Oh boy, what? But what oh boy, Tajunta? Hazen, didn't realize you were nobility. I know I dress myself and cook my own food. So misleading. Mother was a magistrate of Artend, father was admiralty. It's mostly meaningless though, our lands are now the overlords. How did you get the nickname? It's one of those not especially funny jokes that stuck long past its season. I wrote the word ebb incorrectly on a written examination. Master Folwak started calling me ebb from then on. He claimed it fit me, said I was a cynical little shit that always sees the ebb, never the flow. Let's change the subject then. Did you always want to be a typecaster? So when I was a little girl, what I really wanted to be was a marine. The burly bitch at the brow of a trireme, first to crack some skulls when the ship's rammed. You know, an honest living. Fortunately, the school sought me out before I got myself killed at sea. The School of Tides was looking for new blood, and my father was an admiral of Haven. So the school wanted me for the political connections. I got to spend my first couple of years proving I actually belonged with the Tidecasters. That was fun. What would you like to know? What did you do in the years before the war? My husband was born in Apex, and he left his prosperous lands to be with me. So when the nest was empty, it seemed right we leave my homeland and see his side of the tears. We had a year and a bit to ourselves before the war upturned things. We saw all of Apex. I took him along all my old sailing routes around 5-5s and Sunder. Those were good times. Then came the war, and I learned I would be one of the last Tiesmans to live free of Kairos. Ever since then, I think Oathbreaker has technically been my chosen profession. What would you like to know? Tell me about your family. Trying to salt old wounds. They're all gone, but if you really care to know, I had a husband, 3 kids, siblings I didn't hate. Every family has its troubles. I was lucky that awkward and still the dinner bender was the worst of it. Tell me about your husband. Pelox Altinius and I were married in 410. Altinius was a Valksman of the Ventrian Guard back before they were starving partisans. But I saw him more as a carpenter. Woodworking was just a hobby of his, but my fondest memories are of him trying to shape something, and me making stupid jokes about the firmness of his materials. What did you like about him? He with my aunt's advice. If he makes you walk funny, he's a keeper. Despite, or maybe because he was a warrior by trade, Altenos got his anger out in practice and in war. He was peaceful as a frozen lake when we were together. And that fucker could cook. He could whet all my appetites. Oh boy, to acknowledge Sass's presence, alrighty. You started your school. I hope it's going well then. Starting out well. I can understand being tired afterwards though. It's a choice. Okay, it's a choice then. We'll have to look about it after the discussions with Eb. But yeah, of course, I hope you... Well, I hope all the best in the school, definitely. Thank you for the follow, Caesar. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed the stream. So, I kind of want to ask more, actually. What became of him? He perished at the gates of judgment. I saw him die. I do not wish to discuss it. Just know I made my peace with it, and I'm glad I was not with him on the field of battle when his time came. I miss him, but it might have been for the best. So he was only a few years older than me. My studies left me always a bit younger than him. The difference grew with time. Altenos was slowing down, and half figured the Gates of Judgment would be his last battle. If anything, he got exactly the death he wanted. So in that sense, I am very happy for him. I would like to ask also this. I assume he's related to Pelox Florian. Makes sense if he would be Pelox. Indeed, I'm sister-in-law to Florian, Travos, Tyrell, and an armada of cousins. The brothers were all close before the war. A shame they died far apart from each others. Tell me about your children. There were the twins, Trevnor and Lorma, then my youngest son, Akamas. Aldenos wanted more, but I was nearing the end of my trials at the School of Tides, and dueling with lethal magic is a terrible idea when, with child. Drevnor and Lorna followed my husband's trade and took to the Valks. Arkamas liked the harp more than people. Can't blame him one bit. I made sure my children could read, and I'm damn proud of that fact. Probably the only thing I did right. What of the twins? They died at the gates of judgment, or at least Trevenor died, run through by a disfavored spear. Lorma was at the battle, but I don't know what became of her. Maybe we can find her still? My fear has been she was recruited by the Scarlet Chorus. Perhaps she has a new name, if she's still alive. There were the twins. Yeah. What became of your youngest? Without Drevner and Lorma. Akamas, well, he never quite. He took his own life in 430. Ep shrugs, her eyes glancing far away, as if they think that it doesn't make sense that he would have died in the battle because he wasn't into it. But, well, taking his own life then. Great. I should have put him on a trireme and showed him out onto the high seas. He didn't ask for birth, nor did I prepare him for the bitterness that life would offer. Yeah, I'm very sorry for your loss then. Spare me the sorrow. We've all lost family to Kairos. I just lost 2 in one battle, but even then, I'm hardly unique. There were the twins and so on and forth. Yes, change the subject. What of the rest of your family? My family's Haven folk through and through. My mother prided herself of being descended from a Hazen Rapan, one of the founding magistrates of the city of Artend. She looks to the side, mouth twisting in thought. Sad thing is, they died during the conquest, but that's not how I lost contact. I lost contact because magic and travel became my life. Had plenty of time to get to know them as an adult, but I simply missed it. But that's one of my faults. I can't rightly blame Kairos for everything. Not quite everything, just almost. I'm sure you can pull it off, Tayunta. Of course, it's just... Also, like, I can... what's the right word? Nonetheless, like, I sometimes wonder too that, like, can I pull it off in my schooling? Because there is a lot of freaking stuff to learn after all with full nursing and everything. But just try to do your best and just working towards it. Nonetheless, I'm sure you can do it when you put your mind to it. I guess determination is one of the biggest things, and yeah, just I hope you all the best. Of course. This seems so rude, but I gotta say it. Not so sure I believe any of this. You don't seem all that troubled.
Well, I'm an accomplished liar, but I've no need to spin a tale about any of this. My husband, most of my kids, my parents. Kairos' thugs took them all. If I don't seem broken up, it's because I'm not. I don't feel such things anymore.
You sign your magic with a great deal of anger.
I like to think of it more as well-refined rage. But amusing you noticed it all the same. Hate is akin to an acid, a poison of the heart that consumes most from within. And like any fluid, if you know how to hold it, you can apply it.
Kinda makes sense that if she knows how to hold her, all the emotions, all the sorrow, make it into anger and then be able to put a little bit of it into her magic. I guess it can make sense.
It's a trick of the trade, I suppose. One's surges and dry spells of emotion are no different than the rhythms of the waves. There's a shared logic to taming both. Sadness, mania, rage. I suppose I have these things. But they're just humors in the blood to be pushed, needed, and restrained as the situation demands.
Well, thank you for telling me about your history. So how did you fall in with the Ventrian Guard? What does it matter now that they're gone? They seemed the last hope for the Tears. And Nini shitting fuck of a chance is still more than no chance at all. Okay, and then another subject. Let's speak of the magic.
You know, I normally charge for this, but for you...
Ebb smiles, awaiting your query. What can you tell me about your magical traditions?
Now, you know that's a very personal question. The knowledge I have is a centuries-old gift from the Archon of Tides. I would sooner discard my life than the sanctity of that gift. I will speak in generalities only.
Okay. Ask. Worst I can do is not tell you. Tell me how you influence ice, mist and other forms of water. With years of training, now look, most of those secrets have already been stolen ages ago by the sages. Doesn't mean I'm going to tell you just because the secret's already out, but it means you can go ask someone else if you really feel so entitled to know. Well, you did sworn yourself to us nonetheless, so in that sense, yes, I guess it's kind of fair that we would be entitled to for you to possibly give such things. Or at least if you would be more or less of a friend. Yeah, I would be assuming that she could be teaching some new sigils. She knows magic that we do not, after all. And before you ask, I've learned plenty from the knowledge stolen by the sages, but no, I don't know how to do what Ebb does. Magically or otherwise. What are the philosophical teachings of your magic? That's a question I can answer. It would surprise you little to learn that we see all things, people, war, seasons to be cyclical. Cyclical. Waxing and waning through their various forms like the tides and the light of the Teratus grave. Let me read this. Teratus, the planet, has two satellites visible by the naked eye, the tide-locked Teratus grave and the rapidly orbiting interloper. Scholars have long studied the effects of these two moons on the ocean currents, and a great deal of folklore concerns the origins of the moons. A common belief in Kairos' empire is that Teratus grave will finally set onto the horizons when Kairos' rule ends, whereas those of the tiers insist the moons are older than the old walls and will outlive even Kairos. But yeah, I already thought that if we can learn sigils, we could, well, sigils still would be a logical one too that we could learn, but also just improving our lore skill with her for certainty, talking about things, a lot of things that I assume that we can be gaining magically speaking for a certainty. Like if we can train with verse, the bows and the dual wielding, then it just makes sense that we can also train with her in one way or another, or gain something magically. So that's definitely something I did expect. The mind is limited after we are born and spend our lives dodging death. We expect all stories to have a beginning and an end. We assume all things start and stop just like us. In truth, all things are cycles, some by matter of minutes, others by matters of years or lifetimes. In the school of tides, we appreciate patterns of all sorts. Most are called to the depths, others find their interests skybound. Many still find the tides of human emotions and political fortunes far more intriguing than inanimate tides found in the orbits and oceans. I'm guessing you can tell me more than I ever wanted to know about the moons. You'd be right. My magic is generally associated with the moon Teratus grave, but you have to know where interloper is in the sky when mucking about with mystic forces. Yep, that's the two moons. Interloper's the one that moves in the sky, if I remember the lessons correctly. Exactly. Interloper orbits Teratus at a steady clip, and its orbit sometimes crosses in front of the Teratus grave, leading to the mystical calamity if you don't know what you're doing. And Teratus grave is the big one, right? Tell me about it. Teratus grave is fixed in the sky, always overhead day and night. It was first named by folks living far to the east. They'd look to the west and see the moon like a permanent hill on the horizon, a grave where the sun dies each evening. That's how the older folks saw it. If you live in the western part of the world, Theratos' grave is overhead all the time. This means that day and night, it's reflecting the sun's rays. And if you know what you're doing, it doesn't just reflect it, it magnifies. So do you control water or do you mimic the tidal effects the moons have on waters? Both, actually. I'm amused you're keen on the difference. Our spells of ice and mist affect water directly, but are of limited volume. Displacing your own body fate in the water is no mean feat. But if I were to move an ocean current, I'd drive myself nuts moving water in front of a boat and little at a time. That's where I'd use a cantrip to stimulate a tidal pool. Have you heard anything from the tidecasters that left before the war? No, I don't like entertaining the hope. Those cowards are all gone, if I can talk. If they didn't die at sea, they are dead to me. I reserve the right to be pleasantly surprised if they come back, eager to fight the good fight. But I'm not holding my breath. All the brave tidecasters died, present company accepted, as in only you are left alive. You're the last one. And you're welcome for the encouragement, of course. And thank you. I also I have to study. Yeah, no problem, Dayunda. But also I have basically school started in some sense, as in I have one internet course that I would need to be reading some certain stuff and then do an interview and then I would need to be writing about it. So in that sense, my school has also already started, but otherwise it will start at the last week of this month. So not quite yet. Really getting into it, but then it's like full week of just school. Need to be seeing how that all goes. So, yep. So tell me about how you influenced Theratos' grave. Trade secret, not the one I'm going to talk about. The School of Tides dies with me, and so too will this. And don't bother trying to change my mind on this matter. It'll just get ugly quick. From what Archon do the Tidecaster draw upon for their magic? The first Tidecasters were given the gift of magic by our school's founder, Occulted Jade, Archons of Tides. So, Occulted Jade, Archon of Tides, is the founder of the School of Tides, as well as its only ruler. Though she wore the title of Archon, Occulted Jade never bowed to Kairos, though many have tried to compel her to do so. Having arrived with the settlers that made landfall at 5/5s, she is perhaps the oldest known living Tiesman, capable of manipulating the oceans, the moons, and all the transitory forms of water. Occulted Jade used her magic to form a cabal of seafaring traders, musicians, and academicians, and it was the dedication to the arts that helped the school endure, for by teaching these trades to the children of noble families, the schools remained in the good graces of the realms. Being able to control most anything cyclical and fluid, Occulted Jade has lived for centuries and could still be alive today. But none know with certainty. In the years before the conquest, the School of Tides discovered the Overlord's plan to invade. Despite all assumptions that the Tier's resident Archon would defend her school and home, to the surprise of everyone, the Archon vanished across the sea, taking nearly the entire School of Tides with her into exile across uncharted waters. Well, I guess she just didn't. She thought that they would lose anyway, so didn't want to be getting pulled into it, maybe. But yeah, the first Tidecaster were given the gift of magic by our school's founder, Occulted Jade, Archon of Tides. Though she was not of Kairos' ilk, she was as powerful as any Archon, and from her name and legacy we can mimic the moon's pull on the seas and change the currents. Yeah, that's the same lore stuff as before. And it's from her that we have spells to turn the moon's pleasant hues into a baleful ray of searing grave light. In all these years I have not grown tired of the thrill of power. It's a rush of carnal humors every time. Can you teach me what you know? I suppose I'm capable of it, but no, the secrets of the Archons of Tides dies with me. I won't be commanding anything as of yet, at least, but maybe someday she will, when we have the loyalty. Why, fine, we can talk about other arcane matters.
You know, I normally charge for this, but for you... Now,
Let's see.
you know that's a very personal question.
It's kind of annoying that
The
there's
knowledge
just a
I have
command.
is a centuries-old gift. Ask away.
Kind of annoying that there's just a command available at the moment at least, so I hope it's not always just, hey, I command you to do this. I have questions about the people of the Tears.
We all know how to swim, and we all know how to fight. Most Northmen are lucky to make half that boast. What would you like to know?
Well, I'm curious about the people of the Tears. I think you'll find each of us thinks themselves a child of a haven, as in my case, or a child of Azure, child of Apex, or what have you. But I suppose we Tearsmen have our shared customs. The most treasured of those customs used to be the pride of being free of Kairos' rule. Did you have a patrical question? When were the Tides settled? Or Tears settled? Human settlers arrived over 400 years ago, displaced from a war between what are now Kairos' realm of Trevn and fertile sands. A flotilla of barely seaworthy rigs headed west across the high seas. The S-man will sometimes speak of 5 fives. We use it to refer both to the first 5 settlements, where the colonists made landfall, as well as the 5 matriarchs that went on to form the ruling dynasties of the Tears. Of course, I'm leaving out the matter of the builders of the old walls. Who knows when they lived here and why they're gone. But those old walls didn't just fall out of the sky. Why don't men own ship or women ships? For centuries, it has been our way that the men own the ships, but the women own the harbors. Our customs don't truly prevent ownership, they limit inheritance. Lands pass to daughters, then sisters, then mothers and aunts. Ships pass to sons, then brothers, then fathers and uncles. It seems strange to outsiders, but it makes sense to me. Men are blessed with wanderlust, women with a sense of the permanent. Likewise, the captain of a ship can't pause to carry a child, and the men grow restless if left in place. In truth, the custom varies from place to place, and you'll find men with enough wealth own land and women with enough sway own ships. As is often the case, the nobles pick and choose their traditions. So why didn't the younger realms stand united against Kairos? Are you trying to rub it in? Yes, the younger realms were defeated one at a time by the invaders. Maybe if I was queen of the Tears, that wouldn't have happened. I generally want to know your thoughts on the matter. You're being defensive over nothing. Opportunity. That's what killed us. Haven wanted to watch the bastard Tears fall first. Apex was hoping Haven would fall, Azure wanted Stalwart to be attacked first. So each place wanted some other place to fall nonetheless. Every realm of the Tears had some interest in watching their neighbors fail first, so we all held back our support until a year or so into the war. Too fucking late by then, squibbling idiots. Or squabbling idiots even. Tearsmen live with greater numbers of beastmen. What's that like? The beastmen of the Tears are heartier and smarter than their kin elsewhere. Unfortunately, we have lived longer in relative harmony for some time. Lived together in. My god. Too much text to read and then I start to read it very improperly. Unfortunately, we have lived together in relative harmony for some time. Make no mistake, life is difficult for most beastmen in the Tears, but compared to, say, how they are treated in the Northern Empire, I would like to think we Tearsmen are a bit more modern and forward-thinking, even if just a bit. But I suppose I also take an overly optimistic view of our beastly cousins. I find their clumsy honesty endearing, and while no human will say nice things about my cooking, no beastman has ever said anything mean about my worst dishes. But yeah, you like honesty, so you like also their honesty. Clumsy honesty. Let's change the subject. What of the major resistors to Kairos' rule?
Aside from the ones you slew? Well, the Vendrian Guard were the most staunch opponents of Kairos. With their passing, the Overlord's rule is absolute. Well, aside from the local Archons being in a state of civil war. Was there a particular group you wish to discuss?
Let's see. Unbroken. Legion was the proud of Drew. Sure. Tell me about the Unbroken.
The Unbroken is the name of the military of the now fallen realm of Stalwart. Every citizen of Stalwart was trained to fight, and all were expected to answer the rallying cry of the Regents, the ruling small council of the realm. A decade ago, Stalwart was the ass end of jokes Tearsmen would tell each other. The people of Stalwart are obnoxiously proud of a long history of being invaded, but never losing. The disfavored put an end to their vaunted record of victory. The Unbroken still persist, albeit marginally so. The disfavored withdrew after the Edict of Storms began shredding the landscape. Their holdfast of Sentinel Stand Keep was never taken, and the citizen army, though scattered, could still be rallied.
Gotcha. Tell me about the Stone Stalker tribe. So that's the beast, yeah, spanning beast tribe. Gotcha.
Kairos' war was disastrous to the human realm of Azure, but a stroke of good luck for the numerous beastmen that toiled in Azure's endless wheat fields. With the masters all dead, the serfs have been set free. The Stonestalkers are a tribe born from these newly freed beasts. I imagine they would never bow to Kairos or the Archons. Too many generations have been enslaved. I'd wager anything they'll die before they ever bow. Beastmen understand strength and leadership, but it's always in the concrete sense. I can't pretend to know how they think, but I could never imagine them accepting an absent Prima. A distant ruler they can't see or smell seems a bit too abstract.
Yeah, most likely the case for the beastmen. Many of the mercenary companies were employed by Kairos' agents and slaughtered during the war. So tell me about the Bronze Brotherhood.
The Bronze Brotherhood is one of the most feared and famous of the Free City mercenary companies. They serve the highest bidder, and during the war, that was Kairos. Most of the Brotherhood perished in the war, but a handful, the crew hired to work at Lethian's Crossing. They got to babysit the Forge-bound and survived the last few years with minor losses.
And yeah, Lethian's Crossing was the place that I covered for quite a while. They got to babysit the Forge-bounds as in the Mace Smiths indeed. I was thinking that that's the case.
The band is too small to be a serious threat to the disfavored or the chorus. But they are scourge-worshipping berserks that will adopt any enemy for the right price. Maybe even Kairos.
I guess there is the idea too that I could try to be making my own army and go against the Kairos and keep this place then just for myself, but that wasn't definitely what I originally would have planned. But I guess we'll see. Are there other remnants of the younger realms that could still rise against Kairos?
Several sages came to our aid during the Second Battle of Vendrian's Well. I at first thought they meant to kill me, but instead they put their lives on the line for us. They spoke of others in their guild braving the Edict of Fire to salvage lore from the burning library. Though I may find them untrustworthy, it must be said that the sages have a certain fearlessness toward the Overlord. Perhaps that could be kindled further. Historically speaking, an alliance with the School of Ink and Quill is just asking to have your efforts stolen and your goals undermined. Mark my words, some things never change.
Would you rather they be our enemies?
Well, perhaps we can shove them in front of the enemy. And the ones that volunteered at Vendrian's Well weren't all bad.
Weren't all bad. But why against Kairos? She is a good leader. I gathered army and kneeled to her. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would go against Kairos. It just seems like that's actually a possibility that I didn't think about. Or in a sense of actually me, myself, I'm going to go against Kairos. I haven't chosen anything of a sort. I haven't chosen that I would go or I wouldn't go. I have no idea as of yet. I like Tunon at the very least, and I would assume that then I would have to go against Tunon as well, so most likely I will just simply be, the servant of Kairos, but we'll see. She nods silently awaiting your follow-up. I don't know yet what I will choose in the end. There's so much that I don't know, so many events that will have to happen for us to be making, or me to be making up my mind. I don't know anything yet for sure. What can you tell me about the different nations of the tiers? Before Kairos came, the tiers were the younger realms, the bastard tier, and the free cities, in about that order of prominence. We all trace our roots back to the 5-5s, though sometimes a bit of ancestral shoreline seems all we have in common. Tell me about the younger realms. Haven, Azure, Apex, and Stalwart have been the 4 major forces of the tiers for the last 4 centuries. A few other dynasties have tried their hand, but all eventually were defeated or absorbed into the 4 we know today. Not sure when the term younger came into fashion, but it's always been a term of humble contrast. Just look at the old walls. Someone was here before us and built them. Don't know really anything about them, but it stands to reason there used to be an older realms that did all the construction. It is the interesting thing with these spires and all. Before Kairos came, the tiers were the younger realms. The bastard tier, yeah, well, I'd read that already. Tell me about the bastard tier. It's the northernmost of the tiers and the choke point of the Northern Empire. It's been a hub of trade for centuries, and a long time of merchant families and private armies have kept the realm largely lawless. Though many of used to joke about the bastard city being sacked by rabid dogs, Tuno's capture of the city was a terrible blow to the morale of the tiersmans. We knew that day Kairos was more than just a fun story to scare your kids. Before Kairos came, the tiers were... Yeah, but I hate it when it just comes all the time. That same freaking sentence or stuff here. What can you tell me about the free cities? There's a little free about the free cities, save for their independence from the younger realms. They are not physically adjacent, but rather politically allied by their shared hatred of the outer realms, or other realms even. Most of the free cities were defeated with little effort by Kairos' forces. Way I heard it, Neralt just had to have agents hire up their mercenaries and order them to simply be elsewhere when the armies of the Overlord arrived. Before Kairos came. Hello, Specky, welcome to stream for you. I hope your week has been a good one. I'm doing alright. Nothing that special. Kid the butcher. I haven't butchered anyone yet. What are you talking about? Let's change the subject. Ah, my goodness. So much to talk about. Those 3 were talked and there's lots more. What can you tell me about the Archons in the tiers?
Not entirely sure. Which is to say, there was a time I studied my enemy in great detail, but I've recently come to learn that much of my information was little more than lies and misdirection.
Eb scowls, pausing to scratch her ear. What of the voices of Nerat? The Archon of Secrets lives up to his name. If he weren't so loathsome a beast, I'd half admire his mastery of the magical arts. They say he knows all the sieges lost to history, but I've also heard it said all that stolen knowledge is why he speaks in his different voices. Oh yes, indeed. He's a weirdo. But in truth, I'm learning that most of what I know is just lies and misdirection, though I guess he'd be poor Archon of Secrets if I had my facts straight. What do you know of Graven Ashe? Before the conquest, I assumed Graven Ashe, a harmless old man, an Archon in name only, past his prime. I could not have been more wrong. Many have underestimated the great general by his age. Few of them have made the mistake twice. Ashe is a remarkable general. He's led his tiny band of disfavored on a nearly unstoppable rampage of the tiers, and he does not seem to win his wars with obvious displays of mystic powers, but with old-fashioned leadership and good soldiers. A year or so back, under a blue flag talk with the commander, I was told that the Archon knows the name of every soldier under his command, living and dead. The way that his favorites speak of Ashe, you'd think he raised each of them from the cradle. Sort of. Something along those lines, at least. Ah, I'm glad you're gonna be having a vacation, Specky. Have fun there then. Detoxing from your PC. I think you can see how many you killed. Alrighty, I need to check some point. Sure, I've killed a lot of people, but, like, it's war. So, what am I supposed to do? Not kill anyone, let them kill me? That way I wouldn't be a butcher. Would make for a very short stream, though. If I would just, okay, well, you wanna be fighting me? Alright. I'll just let you kill me in the meantime. Like, I think that would be a very short stream. I think you would prefer me to be a butcher rather than that. You will be on an island. Well, I'm glad about that. Or, well, I hope you have fun in the island. I visited Rhodos Island back in the day when I was like a 5-year-old, so that's my experience of having visited Greece. But the island of Rhodos, and boat trip to Turkey from there too. But yeah, that's where I've visited. But I was so young then, so very young. Know anything of Cairn? Oh yeah, the Archon of Stone. I was thinking that it's a familiar name, but I didn't remember exactly immediately what it was. Enough. She inhales sharply, folding her arms with a scowl. Why the hostility? The Archon of Stone destroyed much that I hold dear. I'm glad he's dead. What more need I say? Know anything of Cairn? And then just... There's clearly a story here. I'd like to hear it. A few years back, the remaining Elder Tidecasters met Cairn in battle, tall as 10 men, all but invincible, and I thought nothing could stop us if we stood together. Whatever, it's old history. I'm glad you lived through it all. I'm not, and I don't need your pity. But you still gained loyalty. So I kind of feel that you wanted that pity if you gain loyalty for me. When you say that you don't need my pity, but then you gain loyalty, that says about two very different things about that. Let us speak of other things. Fine. What do you know of Sirin? I'm sure there may be younger Archons in the historical records, but Sirin is certainly an unusually powerful child. It's said half of the Scarlet Chorus was recruited by Sirin's persuasive song, and I'd not doubt it. I also know the voices of Nerad put a shackle on her power, probably feared she'd become the favorite of the rabble. Yeah, probably.
Ask away.
What do you know of arcane societies? Or society?
I know a great deal of the mages of the Tears, or at least their history. Most are dead now. I know a little less about the guilds sworn to Kairos' Archons, but I try to make an effort to know my opposition.
Tell me about the Earthshakers. The Earthshakers are the disciples of Cairn, Archon of Stone, and they share their master's command of tremors and soil, and they also share Cairn's aloof, brooding temperament. From what I gather, the Earthshakers served at his favor, but the relationship has been deeply strained by Cairn's fall from grace. I could imagine there's the fear Cairn shared with them, something subversive or treasonous, maybe. Tell me about the Bloodshanters. The Bloodshanters are the voices of Nerad's cabal of mages. Their magic is taken from the sigil of Sirin, and from techniques stolen from the school of Wild Frat, namely the magic of fire, as learned from the Thousand Embers Archons of Fire. And they barely qualify as a proper school or guild, most of them barely literate, and I bet most of them didn't learn a damn thing, just had their knowledge shoved into their heads by Nerad. They've all the brutal buffoonery of the chorus, but with the magic to make their bloodlust contagious. And their only redeeming feature, guess they make the sages seem not half bad. Wow. Yes, we hurt people for peace, obviously. That's just how it has to be. All butchers say so. Well, just say so if you want me to not be butchering anyone else when we get into a battle. I'll just say then, okay, I can't be butchering you people. It ends here. If you really truly wish so to be.
Yeah, the Forge Bound, yes. What can you tell me about the Forge Bound? The Forge Bound have an unusual sort of magic. They specialize in slow, painstaking rituals that do not procure the dazzling blast of energy and swords of flying ice like my own magic. Instead, their spells render them immune to the fires of the forge and at one with the tools of the trade. I admit a bit of a fascination with the guild. I much prefer the power of brutality of my own magic, but if I lived in a calmer, wiser time, I think there could be a greater satisfaction in using magic to become the master of one's craft. Okay, tell me about the School of Ink and Quill. I think that was the school that I was in. I don't remember anymore. Behind the Tidecasters, I think, yeah, the sage is at the Ink and Quill, but I had something similar. I just don't remember what it was. Where was I from the like story biography that we chose in the beginning? What was it called? I. But yeah, behind the Tidecasters, the sages of School of Ink and Quill are the second oldest arcane institution in the tiers. We go way back a ways. There's a lot of bad blood. If I'm being objective, the sages claim to be scholars interested in collecting, archiving, and preserving lore from all and for all humanity. They're quite keen to gather lore, but in no sense do they seek to share their knowledge with the tier's man. Many of our secrets have been pilfered by sages' spies over the centuries, and we're not alone. The sages have the secrets of many other guilds. The generations of theft have made them versatile and dangerous. Tell me about your own guild, the School of Tides. Our patron, Occult Jade Archon of Tides, is as old as the settlers of the Five Fives, and for nearly 5 centuries we were masters of the coast and the rivers. These days it's a school of one, and you're looking at it. She thumps her chest with a musk smirk. Why didn't your Archon fight in the war? About a year or so before the troops arrived at the bastard tier, Occult Jade proclaimed the age of the tiers was over and said she'd depart southwest into unknown, unending ocean rather than face Kairos. Most of my guildmates went along, choosing to risk the endless high seas rather than risk battle. A few of us, the militants as our peaceful brethren dubbed us, chose to stand and fight. To my knowledge, I am the last of those who decided to stay and fight. What was your school like before the war? There was a time when the Tidecasters were the most powerful guild of the tiers. The Kingdom of Haven accepted us as defenders of sea trade, and the noble houses gave us peace and quiet in exchange for teaching their sons and daughters music, writing, and navigation. Though the other schools coveted our knowledge, they feared our frat. Between our destructive magic and our Archon patron, others knew that attacking us meant suicide. How did the school fall? The Archon Cairn issued a challenge, and Master Folvax, Hakrivan, and Gamberil leapt at the chance. I told them it was a hopeless clash. I think they were ready to die. So that's how they died there. As the youngest Tidecaster still in the TSI, I exercised the better part of valor and went into hiding. But then my sense of shame kicked in and, well, that's about when I fell in with the Ventian card. Old as 5 wives? By all accounts, Occult Jade was among the initial settlers that made landfall in the tiers before Kairos' first cast an edict. Though she's a bit old and stooped, she looked amazing for nearly 500. Hello, Satentenho. Welcome to stream for you too. I hope your week has been a good one, and welcome to Tyranny. And talking
I know a great
endlessly.
deal of the mages of the tiers, or at least their history. Most are dead now. I know a little less about the guilds sworn to Kairos' archons, but I try to make an effort to know my opposition.
What of other magical schools and guilds of the tiers? There have been several to crop up and wither across the centuries. The Cutter's Guild took their healing magic north centuries ago. The School of Flower in Winter always limped along as an inconsequential group of gardeners. Flower in Winter. Most other schools in the tiers fizzled out early, slain by suspicious neighbors, or subverted and destroyed by one of the big three schools.
Ask away.
Okay, I'd like to ask about our travel companions. She nods, silently awaiting your follow-up. What do you make out of Barik?
My one concern with Barrick is that he's still loyal to Graven Ash and not to you. Barrick seems steadfast, faithful, and dependable. But if it comes down to you versus Graven Ash, therein lies the test.
If it weren't a tactical asset, it'd be fun to try and pry him out of that suit. Curious to see if his misdirection is as strong, firm, and taut as I've imagined it should be. What are your thoughts on Verse?
We should consider ourselves fortunate that one of the most deadly members of the Scarlet Furies considers you a suitable gang leader. That said, I think her involvement with you is entirely suspect. I would wager good money the voices of Neratis listening through her, or perhaps seeing what she sees.
That is definitely something that I think is a concern. I don't think she herself would be the one that would like it, but it may very well nonetheless be the case. What is your take on Lantry?
Probably the only word thief I haven't wanted to dismember. Him? I'd merely play with an ice knife.
How nice. The Wandering Scholar, things seems an act. It's always an act with sages, always pretending to know less than they really do. I'm sure he's got 1,000 reasons for why he's not like them or more trustworthy than the rest, but I know his type, and so I don't trust him. Aw, that's a high praise coming from you. I'm going to take this staff and repeatedly jam it into your backside until you prolapse. Oh, just like that, balance is restored to all known existence. You had me worried there. Let's change the subject.
Ask away. What is it you need?
I don't think there's probably much in
We're
here.
working with the disfavored. You want my advice? My advice would be to get close to Graven Ash and plunge a poisoned shiv in his ear.
Claire silently.
Ah, right. I'm speaking out of line. But I don't really know what to say here. I hate the disfavored, but I'm sworn to your cause, so my honest opinion won't do anyone any good. Now we're working with the disfavored. You want mine?
I wanted to
right.
see if
I'm
I can
speaking out
talk
of
about
line.
it again.
But I don't really know what to say here. I hate the disfavored, but I'm sworn to your cause, so my honest opinion won't do anyone any good.
Yes, let's return to our travels then. Finally, talked everything freaking through. Took just a little bit of ages to go through. Oh yeah, I should really be checking out your freaking spells and what I wanna put into there and stuff, because I definitely haven't done anything of the sort as of yet. My goodness, what shall I do? Now that's a good question. Ay. Okay, what spells did I have? I had haste, mirror images. You were good at which spells exactly. The Grave Light, which I can't do. Tide casting, I guess that comes nonetheless from... I'm not sure exactly actually, like, does it come from the frost magic to control lightning, of course, then? Specifically. But for me it's just control frost. But anyways, before we go anywhere, I guess I would need to be giving her some spells. Can't do something like that. That's just way too great of a thing for you to cast. Fulmination. AoE damage thing. I think I can give this to her though. This makes sense. Radius. So we can have some sort of AoE with someone. Would be nice. 50% shock damage taken for 5 seconds. That's not that great. That's just higher cone. I'm not sure if that's that important. I guess the range could be cool. Or just the power itself. But you couldn't even get it to be better, so I think that's the best we can do for you. I do want you to also have a healing spell just because, well, just having some more healing would be pretty cool. You can have the healing wisps as well. there. Because just having at least 2 healing would be pretty nice. What else would she have? I guess she could have something from there too, or maybe from the Sigil of Force. That was the haste that I have. Then this was Tidal Burst, which was the Dazed Affliction and like kind of a push. I guess I could give that maybe to her. That's just a Concussive Bolt, yeah. So this I think could be cool. Sure. They're probably better than this one would have been. So sure, let's give that. That's a little bit of a different setup. We all have one less healing like spell specifically. But that's not necessarily that bad of a thing. I want more stuff in here. Well, that's definitely gonna be the one that I take first from here when I can, because, like, seriously, I need more made spell slots. Definitely. But I guess we'll be keeping her around, but it is a little bit of a difficulty because the other nun, I really like a lot of other stuff too. Artist attacks will transfer health from enemies, so that is a healing thing. I'll put it closer to the healing stuff. That's also healing. So this was just... yeah, both of them are healing spells specifically. Alright. I guess that could be closer to this Repelling Blast, considering they're both special things that she can do. Fulmination was the AoE, so let's put it the last. So maybe I can remember what it did. Then Arcane Missile is just Arcane Missile, and then the Phantom Bolt, which I haven't, of course, tried as of yet, at least at all. And I guess that's all the skills at the moment she has there. Sure. Okay. And you have this thing in here too. Alright, let me just save, for goodness sake. Maybe another round of talk. I think it's enough that we've talked about 1.5 hours with everyone. At least I talked to Landry already previously. So let's get out of here. Ascension Hall. Ventrian's Well Citadel. I guess just into there first. So sure. Ascension Hall, I guess. Instant travel. But apparently I could just go to Citadel itself and have instant travel too. I guess I haven't been there after the battle yet, so it would be nice to visit there. Nonetheless. Some closed rooms now opened here. Yeah, I'm not too surprised that something like that might be the case, considering, like, indeed,
Will do.
we haven't looked up in this place, and this is now I own this place. All that remains of the plates and in the goblets are molded bits of bread and tingy water. A decent meal hasn't been had in this room for a long time. The intricacies of this architecture suggest a master of craftsmanship that is far beyond what one would expect from normal tiersman. So yeah, this is an altar location, clearly. The stone throne is caked with a solid layer of dust. No one has sat upon this for quite some time, but I guess we kinda could now. Definitely. For some reason or another, it reacted to us quite a bit after all. I wouldn't say it tires me, but of course it is a lot of reading. So in that sense, of course, games that there's a huge amount of reading rather than listening are in that sense more tiring, at least to your voice, when you just read and read and read and read and read. Even if I normally talk a lot too in like all type of games, but like in Yakuza I still do listen to them talk as well. Depends, of course, what we are doing. But yeah, like I'm definitely not reading as well sometimes the text when there's a lot of stuff to read and so on. So yeah, I wouldn't say it tires me per se, because it's not like I'm more exhausted or something, but my voice, I guess, gets more tired, sure, and I feel that I make more mistakes when reading. So that's maybe like I also feel that I'm not good doing justice to the game sometimes when and feel like such a fool when reading things wrong, but I can't help it. I read stuff incorrectly. It's just how it is. I just sadly do stuff like that. There does seem to be loot, and there does seem to be a carpet here. I can open this. Research, tech plans. These partial plans describe the process of crafting a powerful weapon, but more research is needed to fill in the gaps in the plan. This research can be made with a Spire library upgrade and the proper materials. Huh, cool. These small barracks are nowhere near large enough to keep the Venturing guards comfortable and well rested. Sleeping occurs in short shifts, with soldiers rotating in and out of beds. Then the little training area. Bloodstains litter the training grounds. Venturing guard trainees spur in this area, perfecting their martial craft. But yeah, it was a good idea then to come here, because apparently there is loot that we didn't get before in here. Plans locked iron gauntlet. This old book is fragile and hard to read, but there are legible plans in it for a locked iron gauntlet. This item can be created with access to Spire Force upgrade and proper materials. I thought it's hard to do this kind of stream this kind of a game. Yeah, that's why I usually haven't specifically tried to stream this type of games before, but I was thinking that, like, this is nonetheless a little bit shorter game, plus then the fact that, but I don't think I'll be playing that many isometric games as streaming, for many reasons, because I usually like to concentrate on the stories itself, and it's a little bit different nonetheless to concentrate on them when I'm playing by myself rather than in here talking with you guys too and everything. I didn't hire anyone yet in the Spire. I guess I should have gone and looked more into that, but I kind of, well, maybe I can go and visit there back again after I just explore this area at least throughoutly. Following Kairos' conquest, food has become far less plentiful in the tiers. The Venturing guard must make do with very little. So right, I basically looked through all of this. Nobleman's hat, wow. I can never have all of that campfire materials. I even bought and wasted money on those campfire materials, and then there's been so much that I can never ever pick up. Which kind of sucks. What can you do? It's Spire Management. You just need to press the icon on top screen. Alrighty. I just felt like there was some interactions with the Spire itself, but yeah, in here there was this stuff, but I haven't done anything. Mysterious device. The ancient device perched from Mountain Spire in Venturing Well is the product of forgotten age. It's unclear what function it once had, or if it can be used again. Resting in any Spire grants a bonus to all skills. Maintenance cost would be none. I don't have a lot of cash. This I couldn't do. Fatebinder, Cesper. An alt makes sense, but otherwise, like someone that can change what skills I'm proficient in. But on the other hand, I'm pretty happy with my choices anyway, so. Long fan, an old beast woman who regularly provides food to take into battle. Guess it's fine. A smith who regularly produces weapons. Tanara, a skilled trainer who teaches one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons, dual wield, parry and dodge. Corpse Eye, a battlefield scavenger with many unique items for sale. Swordbreaker, skilled trainer who teaches one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons, dodge and athletics. A skilled trainer who teaches one. Subterfuge would be the one that I would take if I would take a trainer, I guess, from these. Revos, a merchant with a motley collection of items for sale. Revos will also create camping supplies periodically. I'm most interested in to look in what sort of items the corpse eye guy would have for sale. I guess that's the guy that I would take first as someone. Select the region to view information about the current edict. So here's the storm edict going on, Edict of Storms. In the year 430 TR, the Overlord proclaimed the Edict of the Realm of Stalwart. Those who, in pride and arrogance, stand against the peace and order of our empire shall be crowned beneath the stones of their land. Let those who call themselves unbroken, who embrace the chaos of war in defiance of our order, be broken in the storms of our rage. Let our storm rage until the last blade be broken, or the line of regent falls. This is our Edict of Fire in this area. In the year 430 TR, Kairos the Overlord proclaimed an edict over the Willium Citadel in the contested lands. It is our most solemn duty to protect the citizens of our empire from all dangers, including the danger of knowledge that is forbidden. Let those who in their burning arrogance hold tightly to this law be consumed by our wrath. Therefore, let the fires of Teratus rise up and consume them for as long as forbidden knowledge lies within the heart of the Velum Citadel. No edict, and the Edict of Stone in this location. I guess we are in this place. I guess. I'm not exactly certain, but I think it's here. And then the Edict of Stone. In the last year of Kairos' conquest, when the Archon Cain rebelled against the Overlord's rule, so Cain did rebel against the Overlord's rule, which is interesting. An edict was proclaimed upon the realm of Azure. To preserve our peace, the promise of safety to our citizens, all Archons must submit to our will. Any Archon who refuses proper submission must be brought to justice. And therefore, let the foundations of Azure be shattered and life drained from the land, while the traitor Cain draws breath. Yeah, that makes sense. These people can be hired only here. Each spire type have different people. Some bring items over time, like mats and craft stuff for free. By the way, you can see 4 big zones. You can only do quests in 3. That's kind of a shame, because, like, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess. But, like, I guess we are in this one, right? But 1, 2, 3, 4. It is a shame in a sense, because they're all cool. I do think that I want to go into this Edict of Storms area at least, because that's definitely cool, and I think I have to choose the Edict of Fire because freaking I caused it. Then it would be the choice. But on the other hand, this is the place I think which I covened previously, and that would be also logical. So, I don't know. Then there's the Cairn place. So I would like to be in everywhere, but I guess I'll just start from something that I like the most and so on and forth. Yep. But okay, I'll hire Corpse Eye then. And is there anyone else that I would want to hire? Motley collection of items for sale. Sure, fine. I'll get them to Mysterious Device. There is no maintenance cost at the very least. But alright, a couple of people have been, or a couple of merchants have been hired. I'm not exactly certain where they are. But, going through straight first and seeing if we can see any of them. I guess I should be looking... Oh yeah, I still have the freaking camping supplies there, which is kinda annoying. They're on top of the spire, alrighty. That's kind of silly that they are also there, but I guess it makes sense. But to be honest, I would assume that they would like to live somewhere else and everyone just go into the top of the spire. But fine enough, top of the spire it is, then let's go see them at least. Let's go see them. But yeah, Tyranny was my choice considering it for a stream game, considering it's a little bit shorter, and the fact that I probably would never manage to roleplay this that well, considering I usually don't like to. I try to be a goody two shoes, so but I don't know. Has been a cool game though. The magic system, after all, is one of the things that I like the most. Definitely, it's awesome. Hello, Revos. Fatebinder, come take a look. The dirt-caked apex local gestures to an old box at his feet. I've got a Beastman cup in here. Aw, Beastman cup. Take a look. I doubt that very much. You step up to the huckster and peer down into the box. It's full of assorted junk, nothing more. Before you can comment, you notice him reaching for your ring belt out of the corner of your eye. Grab his hand. He makes a high-pitched squeal that echoes over the expanse of the valley. I didn't mean anything by it, I promise. I just wanted to see how many rings you had so I could adjust my prices accordingly. Uh-huh. Revos at your service. I've come into possession of some items that might be of interest. He wiggles his eyebrows. Uh-huh. Wiggle. Windy place to live in, yeah? Very windy. That was very dishonest of you. Are they stolen? At first he seems about ready to spout off a hasty answer, but he pauses and reconsiders. No in the sense that they aren't stolen, but yes, in the sense that I'm not entirely, he cuffs into his fist, licensed. Okay, so he hasn't been licensed, fine. But wait, he puts his hands up. Before you throw me into Tunon's dungeon or worse, consider this. He spreads his arms and turns a circle. We aren't standing on Terradus, we're standing high above any citizen who is subject to Overlord's law. And this place couldn't possibly be subject to the same rules that govern down there. He stamps his foot and points to the land below. Uh-huh. Sure, don't presume you understand Kyros's will. I need to consider the legalities. In the meantime, I'll take a look at your goods. My goodness, fatebinder stuff. A little bit expensive. Yes, a little bit expensive side. Superior. Sigils, my god. I need to sell stuff. Crap. First and foremost, all the freaking crap. Yes, and yes. All of that at the very least, so I can maybe afford something, and even then it's pretty unlikely I'll afford anything at all. Desire to be everywhere calls for multiple playthroughs. That's true. That is certainly true. It's cheap. Crafting gear will cost ya. Yeah, it is. It requires multiple playthroughs. Logically enough, of course. I don't want to be like, those are of course the research notes anyways, but the scroll too. I don't want to be selling. I don't know if it would be important somehow, somewhere. This is so too many of these sort of things. Okay, what is good and what is bad? I guess I can take at least these heavy items. No one's using any heavy armor or anything of a sort. Sage hood, nothing special really. Light bronze helmet. I like the look of that, so I would prefer not to sell that thing, but I guess I can sell all of those. Then the weapons and armors, and let's at least give that shield. Letter buckler, parry and dodge. Parry and dodge are like equal in that, but then it just also gives endurance. It's so much to look into. My goodness. I guess I'll just sell these first. At least can have a look on what I would then want to do. What is this scroll? I don't understand these scrolls. because they just like, it's this sort of a value, but it's not like telling me much in the end. Approximate action. I do not know it. Do not know anything at all. Kind of would like to be saving into one of those that is really expensive, but I guess I really would have to look into our equipment first. Scroll for research or craft, don't remember so much junk. Yeah. That's what I was thinking, just that I would actually need to look, do I wanna be using any of that? If I don't, then I should just sell it all. If there's anything that would be better for someone else, then we can consider using it, but otherwise a no-go. Like, this was a pretty good bow, though, I think. Armor penetration 5. It's basically the same, exactly. That's worse, that's the same. That's the same. Or worse, actually, yeah, worse. What was I talking about? But, I don't think there was a lot of other stuff in here, a lot of other bows. So, her bow is already better than dual wielding these. Now that's a question if there's anything that would be better. I don't know if I should be trying to use some of these javelins one day or not. Iron greatsword seems that it would be a little bit too big of a weapon, like two-handed weapon, I presume, these things. So I think that those all will be sold. Imperial Iron Falsata. They do have more like armor penetration, but otherwise I don't know. Slash pierce, so that's a possibility. Maybe I'll give it to her inventory. Maybe I could be dual wielding that. Then these goddamn javelins that I have no idea, like, would I want to use them with someone or not? I guess I can at least check the staffs quickly, but I assume we don't have any better staffs. The Suzuki can freeze, and it's anyway something that only she can use, so I kind of would prefer her to keep it. The biggest thing is that it's just freezing, so that's kind of cool. That's definitely worse. Is there any other staffs even? I don't think so. So this is definitely worse, but then this one... Yeah, our Staff of Boreal Frost does do a little bit more TPS and better recovery, but damage is really low on this. I guess, yeah, the Staff of Boreal Frost is worse, right? No, it's supposed to be better. TPS is 5. It's just kind of weird because it says 8 Frost, base 9, when the damage from this Storm's Heart staff would be 15 shock, so it's like, it's kind of, it looks a little bit weird the way it is. This does the crush damage. It was also cool for the, if we want to actually have some better penetration, I guess. Armor penetration, I mean, actually doing damage. So I guess, but yeah, the javelins are the ones that I have no idea about. Then the aversion is kind of cool as a two-handed weapon, but if I ever would be giving him a two-handed weapon or something, I guess I can consider it. Also, this is just crap that I can just sell. You're just keeping a lot of freaking fruit and cheese on your inventory. Just keep those here too. The crane. You're accidentally taking a lot of crap into your inventory, I feel. I feel like tenderizer. That's a sage hood that I can consider using, maybe. Let's just put that there too. My god, that's just way too many freaking weapons and stuff. And I already have one shield in here for you to possibly use if you want. So I could be just selling that other shield too. You have both of the shields actually in here. Like, you have one of your own disfavored shields too. So I think that's fine. Bronze Tower Shield. Let's see, is that... How's this? lot less parry and endurance, but more dodge. But I think the parry is more important for you when you're in close combat. Yeah. I think we can sell this too. It's not like I'm gonna be using it. Like the two-handed weapon, that could be here for you as a secondary when we can just deal a lot of damage with you. That's unlikely to happen a lot because, yeah, you kind of need to be our tank. But you might have something like this here as a secondary weapon sometimes to use. Or can you actually have... I guess you can have with that. Actually, that's not two-handed then. Alright, then we can just sell that because this is, must be way better than the freaking other one. Yeah, well, I guess there's pros and cons, but it looks cooler. Accuracy, well, this one doesn't have accuracy, but brain. What does it actually mean when it has brain? Brain, 0.5% bonus damage for every 1% missing health. It's interesting. This hammer is best handled during moments of desperation when confusion and plot loss brings about a second wind of energy, allowing the wielder to swing tenderiously with wild abandon. I guess it's not then the best in this situation, but it would be best in some other stuff. So... aversion then has the parrying +5. But it's the two-handed weapon, yeah. I don't know, I might try to have that as a second weapon set at least. And then I'm not certain if this would then be actually better than the other one. But yeah, that's a disfavor, just your original weapon. We don't need that stuff. And this is exactly the same shield you're already using. So I guess if we want to use a secondary shield at some point, I guess that could be a reason. That would give a little bit different setup at least. And you had, these are your own old equipment, so I don't want to sell them. Broken Valks does not seem like that's gonna be important. That doesn't seem very important. I'll keep that in there. Just so much in freaking inventory management. Type of damage important too. Yeah, I do remember that. Maybe Barrack is kleptomaniac. Maybe. Well, tank is tricky thing in this game. He did take a lot of stuff. My best tank and off tank was using two-handed weapons. That's kind of weird, but sure. Well, he can have the two-handed weapon of this in here, in the secondary slot at the very least, but yeah. It's kind of weird then. But at least I think he has fine enough stuff as it is. I took the view items there. It's the only question that should I be looking into to keeping one javelin. Maybe at least I could consider keeping one javelin or something if I want to be going and trying out something like that, because I haven't yet. So it could be nice. But otherwise I guess the stuff we have is pretty okay. What did I do? I don't know if I asked you to do that, but okay. That was weird, kinda. I did quick save, yes. He just suddenly decides to be just attacking. He's angry, apparently. But okay. Mate me. Alright. Let's start selling stuff that we definitely do not want to be keeping. So all of that, that's a double. I'll look at the javelins last. Like these all definitely can be just put into there to be sold, just like the freaking bows. And that's a second weapon. Don't need that. I definitely do not need this at least. Then Some of this stuff I can maybe consider keeping, not that, but like this javelins, because I haven't looked into them properly. I wouldn't want to be looking at every freaking thing immediately. 1 to 11, egg to 13. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult when just like trying to look through and there's just so much stuff. Yes, all of this at least can be sold. Then there's all of that stuff. Then we can definitely sell, I think. At least that. I haven't looked actually if someone would want to be using better boots or something, so that's a possibility. This seems to be better than my Tunnel boots, so I guess I should be using these cloth sandals. Does seem like pretty crappy. Like this Fatebinder's gear seems to be very crappy when pretty much anything is better than it. That's just everything. So these all can be sold to the highest bidder. But okay, I guess I shouldn't yet buy anything considering there's the other person too that I would want to be at least checking what they have. So let me just check at least what this freaking dude has.
Yes.
And after that, we can then have a look if I'll buy some of that sigil stuff. Corpse Eye. Well, if they ain't the big bad boss, come to take a look at my wares. Handpicked from the finest of battlefield corpses, I can assure you. The Scout's chorus members' milky dead eyes roll in their sockets as he bows deeply, mocking you. What'll it be, boss? Remain silent. I'm tempted to try. Remain silent. You have gained favor with Scout Chorus. That's surprising. We got a real Dalkin on our hands, have we? No matter, I'm a real good at filling silences. Corpse Eye hums to himself off key, one flimsy eye drifting to the side as he bops his head to the tune. Cool. Well, some sigils that vendors sell you can find in the world. Yeah, some probably can, but it's not like I have any idea which ones I can and which ones I can't. And yeah, it's remaining silent. I just come and talk to you and then I just... silence. I got nothing to say. Silent protagonist. So, Corpse Eye, not really a name you come across every day. Unusual, eh? His eyes cloudy and scarred pop unfocused in their sockets and he grins at you, revealing several cracked or missing teeth. Fitting, you tell me. You can't shake the eerie sense that despite appearances, Corpse Eye is in fact able to see. After all, didn't you recently witness him fighting on the battlefield? Regardless, he doesn't seem to find his condition at all distressing. How did you end up in the Scout Chorus? How does anyone, if not through piss poor luck, know what happens when two chorus comes calling at your door and you don't open it? Worse than this. He was waving two fingers over his eyes. But I figure I've made my way of things, working for a fatebinder now. What finer honor could there be, right? He laughs, chokes, and hawks a club of spit at your feet. What do you think about the voices of the rats? If I were a betting man, which I am now, thanks to the chorus, I'd put my rings on Nerad, and any girl with 2 wits about him would do the same. The Scout Chorus member shrugs. I don't fear many things no more, but here's sure one. Well, I'm not afraid of Nerad. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. No fear and real pride too. You ought to let the voices hear you say that, then it'll be a real show. Oh. I'd like to talk. Even though I start with not talking at all. Sure, boss, you talk. I pretend to listen. I prefer one-sided conversations with figures of authority. It makes it real easy for me. Yay. At least you're honest. It's like, yeah, go ahead, talk. It's not like I'm listening or caring at all what you're talking. So let's see what's in stock. My goodness. Some exquisite weapons that we've definitely not seen yet. Anything of a sort previously. quite expensive. We could afford this Crimson Spear armor if we really wanted to. But, I don't know. What should I buy? Should I save my money and just buy next time something? I don't know. So, what do you guys think? Is there any sense? And kind of also considering these so that I could actually look like a fatebinder still if I actually bought some of this fatebinder tune-on thingies and so on and forth. But on the other hand, they're kind of expensive. So I'm a little bit uncertain of it. That's leather armor. That's also leather and cloth. So this is the only one that is cloth. Still better, of course, more deflection, even though it is cloth. Recovery rate in this would go worse, so it might be better that I would be using this cloth armor all the time, but not certain. That's not bad. Deflection and disengagements, defense plus, especially for me. Again, then the question, which boots would be the best though? How much would it matter? I don't know. It doesn't look like they're that different, like stat-wise. Letter, letter, and letter. They're all letter anyways. But, yeah, maybe I'll at least buy boots or something. My boots are bad. Shopping girls, save and buy it. Just save. Just completely save and don't buy anything at all. Well, if you say that I don't know if I'm gonna find all of those things, but I guess it's not like I need them right now. It's just gonna be making it last longer. I don't know how the alchemy supplies work either or anything, so fine, let's just go. Let's do something else. Let's go all the way to the Ventrinswell Citadel now then, instead. And you're the one who wanted me to have a look and buy something into there, though. It's not my fault. So I guess from here I could immediately be leaving, but I would prefer to at least look through this full place properly. Rather than just leave, like see if there's anyone in here anywhere or something. Or maybe items. Don't know. The central spire stretches into the clouds, towering at a height that is difficult to comprehend. From here it appears completely unassailable. Wow, beast blood pollen. Put it there. It's another thing. Potion of protection and then blood moss. I really haven't been using those goddamn things at all thus far. Can't go there anymore, so that's a no-go. And a bronze mace. I guess not much in here then. I could climb in here, I guess. It looks like there's a climbing spot here, which is kind of strange, I assume. It's not like I need to climb, but I guess it's just a beacon, even though it doesn't look like it should be just a beacon. I do want to at least see this full location, though. You never know, there might be more items to be found. Heavy leather gloves. More loot for sale, yeah. You can leave from top of spire to, well, like into the world map. I didn't see it as an option nonetheless. I saw just that I can leave completely into there, but maybe. This damage dates back to Kairos' initial conquest of the Tears. That is one of the few blemishes remaining in testament to Ventrance Guard reconstruction efforts.
Can't do that.
Cut the banter and stay low.
Can't
Sorry, I
get
can't.
there. Sad times. I thought that maybe there's some loot, but then I can't check into there, sadly. Alright, that's fine then. Let's get out of here. Well, I didn't see that I could have, and anyways, I didn't check this area, so I anyways would want to be checking the rest of this area, so. Okay, the quick save is done, and we can go and head away from here, finally. Like, it just feels like the world map, I guess because I need to go here. This area has been explored, and then I have to click into here. I only now saw it actually glowing properly, So yeah, we are in the Ventrian's Well, and then there's the Burning Library entrance, Stone Sea, this full area, and then indeed the Haven location here. So, and Sunset Spire, but of course Bastard City is the place that I need to go into first so that I can meet with Tunon. And yeah, I think that's the first thing I need to do. After that, we can look into this thing. Yes, to the Tunon's court. 2 days, 7 hours, and 30 minutes. Just a small little journey. When the Bastard City fell to Kairos' armies, Tunon the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, claimed the place for his own. Now, Tunon's court serves as the center of law and covenants for the Tiers. Slight journey. Yes, vanki targeted and all that. Looks like a cool looking place. Reputations. Is there something new that happened in here? Maybe. Parik, at least at some point, yeah, gained that. And yeah, we're here. Lady Lucretius. Kairos' standard, an imposing sight for both conquered and unconquered alike. Hello, lady. This well-dressed older woman stands apart from the milling crowds of nobles. She stares off into the distance, oblivious to your approach until you're right in front of her. Oh, greetings, she offers a reserved smile. Anda Lucretius, formerly the Thistle home. You have the look of someone who belongs here. A fatebinder, no doubt, she nods. Do you need something from me? What are all those nobles doing to Tunon's court? She smiles and shakes her head. Trying to look brave, I warrant. But if you crane an ear off to any of their conversations, you'll hear a different tale. 2 years since Tunon set up shop in the Bastard City, we're still getting used to our new masters and figuring out what we can and can't ask of them. She nods to the assembled nobles. These are smart, ring-plenty folk. The way they approach Tunon, you'd think they were raised under a tyrant's lash. Some have come to settle a grievance, others to pledge fealty. I've been standing around long enough to know that the Adjudicator doesn't care for empty gestures. How has the Bastard City fared since the conquest? The armies claimed the city in a quieter, more organized manner than I might have expected. I can credit them that much, to be sure. Kairos' forces made short work of our local mages. I never approved of the School of Wild Frad, but at least they were ours to control. I'm not sure that the bloodchanters I see on patrol are a better alternative. We've suffered our share of hardships, but it seems that Kairos wants us alive. That's more generous outcome than some of us were led to believe. What brings a noble like yourself to Tunon's court? A frown. A frown cracks her pleasant demeanor. Unlike the rest of the frightened inbreds here, I came to see Tunon and ask him to right a wrong. My manor was destroyed during the conquest. I told the Adjudicator my woes, but we didn't exactly see eye to eye. Tell me of yourself. I'm the daughter of a noble house. We were wealthy enough to live in the city, but our means beyond that were limited. My mother dealt in fish, textiles, and bronze. By the time I inherited, the business was taking care of itself. She sighs. Of course, all that has changed. This home is no more, and my name has none of its former fate. Even when we're still in business, Kairos laws would stifle our trading rights. Perhaps it's better this way. Yeah, but yeah, quote and sharing meticulously regulated tradable goods. Permits are issued to reserve in merchants on an annual basis. But the allowances circulate by the design known only to Kairos and Tunon, a form of wool peddler, may be restricted to selling only copper and the subsequent year trade fresh vegetables. What is Thistleholm? A great sigh deflates her. It was my family's ancestral hall, and the oldest stones dated back to the years when the bastard city was naught but a dozen roofs and wagons clustering for warmth. Compared to the houses of the great lords, it was nothing special. It sat soft in the wood, and its queer placement in the warehouse district set it apart from the finer crowns, where lords and ladies strolled for amusement. It was a mess, but our mess all the same. I would invite you over for tea, something stronger even, but it would only disappoint. You'll find naught there but a gaping hole. What happened? Your home was in the warehouse district? You must understand that Thistleholm predated the city districts. My grandmother was also a persistent woman. Merchant store and sold at cotton lamprey eggs on the adjoining grounds were no cause for her to pass from her spot. What happened? Collateral damage happened. When the objurgator cast his judgment on the bastard city, he destroyed the districts of the corrupt merchant kings, their manors, their counting houses, and yes, their warehouses. Each dignified Thistleholm collapsed as a massive sinkhole opened under her foundation. The bastard city's laws may not have been perfect by Garrus' standards, but my family followed them with respect and never took a copper ring more than we deserved. I can't help but feel that my estate was not the criminal Dunon had in mind during his sentencing. So what are you going to do next? That's the question, isn't it? I appealed to the adjudicator, thinking he would see reason. After considering my case for all 8 seconds, he awarded me a belt of rings and a plot of land on the outskirts of the city. Tunon told me to build anew and start farming. Farming? Can you believe that? She shakes her head. It's not even that I'm opposed to the labor, but we're in war. I can't have the scarlet chorus breathing down my neck, raiding my crops, and Kairos known what else. Kairos' laws are made to serve the masses, not the individual. I can appreciate that, especially when there's suffering or corruption or on a grand scale. It all makes sense on parchment, doesn't it? She glances to her left and right with unease. I come from a long line of smart ring-savvy merchants, but even I can't reconcile Tunon's justice with Kairos' law. There's something wrong about it all. Maybe Tunon knows something I don't, or maybe... She trails off, shaking her head in doubt. What do you mean? People come here for justice. They usually get a version of it, but it's Tunon's version, not theirs. Half of the time, they don't even get what they wanted out of the ruling in their favor. She shakes her head. The deed to warm, for instance. Not to put my ignorance on display, but if more people knew how Kairos laws worked, they might not come here seeking a ruling at all, even a fair one. Tunon is a servant of law, but he is the overlord's vassal as much as any of us. Sometimes it seems like he uses his position to twist everything in the Empire's favor. With just pieces on a board, and he can move us wherever the law justifies that we stand. That doesn't sound, well, legal. Well, I wonder what I want to say. While you walk into the global map window scan, scavengers gather mods for you and they stock in the spire if you hired them. Well, I hired the 2 vendors that I saw. I didn't see anyone else in that, but anyways. This is definitely not what I say. This maybe, it's possible. At least I would assume that the Tunon would like it. This is also okay. But On the other hand, I do like justice. I would like true justice. So in that sense, yes, but can I do a better judgment? I don't know. On the other hand, it's like it's not like you can get that house back in there after all, so I don't know what you would have wanted. Kidet judge. But then this is kind of weird. Now, how much is my silence worth to you, ungrateful one? As in, will I tell Tunon about her? Now, that would just be rude. Well, I can only endeavor to bring true justice to the tears, but I'm still on the side of Tunon, but of course I would think that it could be... it's kind of difficult to say. At least one of Kairos' agents has their heart in it. I'm still holding out hope that the tears are left standing after this war, and that Kairos' peace makes something great of us. A lady can hope, can't she? Farewell, Fatebinder. Be well. All right. I think it's nonetheless fair enough thing to say. Any petitioner that displeases Tunon would meet their fate in the pits below the court. How nice. Very, very pleasant. Well, there's a lot of disfavored and also them in here, so great. Great stuff that I'm gonna be walking into. I'm just so excited to wait for this. And those are other Fatebinders. We'll see how they will judge us.
On it.
You call yourselves officers of Kairos' army, but your conduct falls short of my expectations. The court finds your accounts of Vendrian's well lacking, rife with misdirection and fallacy, fouled with baseless accusation.
Yeah, they're just accusing each other, so isn't that the case again? Just like always before, too. Yeah, falls short of the expectations that Tunon would have for them. The shadows beneath Tunon's cloak darken and flare around him. Murmurs of unease erupt in the court. I shall listen. The one disfavored. Your Honor, I have relayed the events as I experienced them. You can well imagine why my version conflicts with his. She makes a dismissive gesture to the Scarlet Corps representative. On my honor, and on that of the great general, I would sooner snap my sword than perjure myself before you, Archon. Oh, so you imply that falsehood comes easier to my lips than yours? You're a fool if you believe the Archon of Justice won't see through your lies because the disfavored thinks themselves better than an honest king.
Silence. The contradictions in your statements will be examined, and falsities threshed from truths. If we find you have perjured yourselves, Bled and Mark will see to your fate.
The Archon turns and you feel his gaze upon you. Blade and Mark is Kairos' knife in the shadows. The unseen drop of poison that enforces the Overlord's will. He reports to Tunon, the Archerator, serving in his capacity as the final word to those who hold Kairos' law in contempt. Few know the origins of the Archons of Shadows, or how Kairos maintains a hold on him. Those who anger the Anchor never Archon even, never live long past sunset, whatever. Me reading poorly, once again. I usually stick to kissing Tunon's ass in words and more or less true justice in actions. Yeah, that's a little bit... Like, I still want to serve him, but I still would want to do the best justice I can, and not just and only, like, do only the justice that he thinks is correct. Like, I am his Fatebinder, yes, but still, yeah.
Fatebinder, we will start with the matter of the Archons. Graven Ash and the Voices of Nerat have declared war upon each other. In addition to violating Kairos' peace, they have thrown the conquest of the Tears into disarray. By all accounts, these hostilities began shortly after your arrival. Tell us what transpired.
Lie, you must be mistaken. I wasn't present at all. Never was there. I'd have nothing to do with any of it. Yeah, no. The Archons could not agree on who should lead the siege and descended into accusations of treachery. It seemed a mutual spat. The disfavored were more deserving of the honor. Our tactics and training outmatched the Ventrian Guard at every turn. What balderdash! The disfavored couldn't tip over a straw hut if they had a week to strategize. Our howling mob was better equipped to overwhelm the Ventrian Guard. Our recruits were ready to throw themselves at the enemy. If only Ashe and his legion would agree to a plan.
The fatebinder presents testimony. I warn you both against speaking out of turn. Something more than a mere disagreement unraveled this campaign. But I will return to that in time. Let us speak of Ascension Hall. The disfavored sing your praises across the realm, though the Scarlet Chorus appeal for charges of treason. Perhaps you can offer a more enlightened account.
It's interesting that this can only be said as a lie, but it is true that I took it. Like, sure, there was disfavored soldiers too, but I still took it. But I don't wanna be just putting them into bad light. But I claimed the Citadel with a small unit of disfavored.
An efficient solution. The type I would expect from a capable agent. Tell me though, with the edict looming overhead and death the price of failure, why not employ the numerical advantage of the Scarlet Chorus?
This is true though. I do suspect him of treachery. After all, like what happened to the people that were imprisoned by the Oathbreakers. Those were released to somewhere else. I think Voices of Nerat had them, because that makes the most sense. And it is true, he especially was the more provoker nonetheless. Sure, also like others, but of course this is also that I would agree that I like this using the earth shakers rather to break the wall. I like that tactic better. I would assume Nerat and Treasury, the most honest person in the world. Yes, sure. That's not me, huh? Not you. But yeah, so both of these are true. I definitely suspect him of treachery. One way or another. I definitely do. But I also do think that this is fair enough for point. But yeah, the Voices of Nerat provoked Ashe at every turn. I suspected treachery. For a long time, the adjudicator hovers in silence, shadows trailing from below his robes.
I will consider this testimony at length. The court thanks you for it. Is there anything you wish to add at this time?
I have told you all that I know.
Your testimony is accepted by the court. The statements of our guests raise questions in my mind. There is much about this campaign that has caused me to wonder. A shipment of iron weapons was short on arrival. Where coveted iron is concerned, I don't believe it to be a clerical error.
Yes,
One
that's...
of my agents recovered this seal in Echo Call. It belongs to a merchant collective. Lethian's Crossing is teeming with their kind. If you would root out treachery, I would advise starting there.
And I would like to go there anyways because I covered that location, so I want to go into Lethian's Crossing, that's for sure. Because I was the governor of that place. I actually was doing a lot in there. But yeah, that's the truth. That's also something like, who caused it? I don't know for certainty. And also, like the Oathbreakers that we talked to, it seemed like they had some help from Scarlet in one way or another. So...
Petitioners, leave us. I would have a private audience with the Fatebinder. Ascend and join me. You will find the way opened.
I will. Poof. Well, both of them are just leaving. Wonder if I can talk to them. These fatebinders then. Ah, Kide, you return, unscathed and more acclaimed than ever, seems to be your way. The Fatebinder of War claps your coat naturedly and with excessive strength on the back. Come, you must regale me with all that your journey has held. I could use a moment of respite between runs. He regards you with a warm, boisterous smile. Speak as you wish, I'd pay a pause, fate in rings to know your thoughts. He rakes a hand through his thick red beard and offers you a grin. Come, let us speak freely. My goodness. Tell me more about Kyrus' armies, our allies. Ah, yes, with friends like these, our work is often self-explanatory. Were you asking about the Scout Chorus or the disfavored? The Scout Chorus first. Scout Chorus soldiers hail from every corner of every realm. As the chorus marches, it conscripts indiscriminately from those it has conquered and to replenish its ranks. There's no continuity of command in the chorus. Nera the Lows encourages even the strong to challenge their leaders. But the chorus's numbers and brute force is almost always a viable solution, much as Rokalus insists otherwise. Besides, the Scout Chorus draws strength from the multitudes it swallows. Its bloodchanders have taken knowledge from various tier's mystics. And many of the chorus's best soldiers were grown here in the south. What about the disfavored? The disfavored are the iron tip of Kyrus' great phalanx, armed with the best weapons, the most comprehensive training, and led by a brilliant Graven Ash. The disfavored have no equal in open battle. The legions, as is saying, Graven Ash protects, and it's no empty boast. The Archon of War is able to lend his will and strength to his soldiers and give them endurance beyond human limits. Talking to all of this, it's just small talk. Why are you scared? Yeah, just little. I'm not that scared. Not that scared. I have great respect for the disfavored, but I know where I stand with them. They are a very close-knit band, all of them from northern families, many of them related to each others. But he is my boss, so Neural sighs his smile wistful. But considering our role in the great hierarchy, I can't fault General Asher for being selective. Could you remind me of the history and origins of the Fatebinders? The seasoned warrior rubs a finger against the line of stubble along his cheek. We are a relatively young order, though we have spanned these past 2 centuries. While the voices of Nerat and the Craven Ashe need armies to execute their wills, to none wields but a modest court of vassals. We exist as the extension of his law. There is no place in all of Terratus beyond our judgment. What about Tunon's masks? They can be rather unsettling, can't they? Even to one such as me, but I can assure you the innocent need not fear the objective, emotionless gaze. What of the objector's mask specifically would you like to know? What about the silent face? The silent face is the face that Tunon shows us now. And for that, we are fortunate beyond belief. The silent face is a patient face. A face for listening as Tunon presides over all matters brought to the court, taking great pains to ensure all sides of an issue are heard. What about the face of resolve? Tunon's last known donning of the face of resolve was the moment he judged and called ruin to half the districts in the bastard city. Since then, he has ruled our northern tyrant justly, calmly, and with efficient diplomacy. What about the face that is no more? Tunon is said to have worn a third mask in eons past. I've heard rumor that the face displeased Kyrus and thus was destroyed, as happens to all person objects that displease the Overlord. My, have you ever seen Tunon change his masks? In the way that you or I would change our raiment? No, not as sus. And yet I have seen the masks shift. They switch without the objector or anyone so much as laying a hand on them. It's not something you can watch unfold. After a time you merely realize it has already happened. There is work enough for the court that we shouldn't occupy ourselves wondering over mysteries. What about something else then? How yes, I've cornered your attention. How were you singled out to become a fatebinder? I cannot speak for the other Fatebinders, but I joined the court when I was yet still a boy and imperious beyond reason. I had been imprisoned with a death sentence for the crime of desecrating corpses. How did you desecrate corpses? He laughs hard and hearty. Ha ha ha! It was nothing so exciting as you're no doubt imagining. I was merely burning corpses that awaited burial. Before the local authority could see me to the gallows, the objector claimed me a great talent waiting to be realized, needing only to be steered. Interesting. Why burn the bodies? Corpses piling the streets spread plague faster than the filthiest of rats. I was 10 and weak fighter. I did what good for my homeland. Why was it a crime then? There was a time when even the Northmen were of superstitious stock, a time before Kyrus brought reason to the realms. The people of my city believed that without proper rites I was cheating our fallen warriors from returning to the land. Well, it's a good thing to not spare to you, certainly. Yay, gained favor with Dunon. As I have said, the educator saw within me something of rare value, as if true for us all. You as well were chosen for our great court, for which I am grateful. As the Fatebinder of War, I rely heavily on your talents. But I'm not a Fatebinder of anything special. You're a Fatebinder of War, but what am I? I've claimed the spire at Vendrian's Well. So, the court's whispers are true. The Fatebinder rubs his fingers alongside the underside of his chin, pondering his thoughts with great fate. After a moment, he offers you a wistful sort of smile. Someday I would like to witness for myself this tower that has risen above the realms like a blade thrust into the sky. So I would hear of your past victories of the war, or of recent events. Have you not yet tired of my tales, Kide? I do admit I never tire of telling them. He laughs hearty and deep. Ha ha. Yes, I'm doing almost as good of a laugh as our good girl in the other in Yakuza. Very well then, let me champion the feet of my conquest. Let the glory of Kyrus' reign fall on any ears that would hear of it. While they may not rival once glorious feats in battle, I take pride in the small dispenses of justice I manage between my weekly drills and lectures. Just the other day I pulled the teeth of a liar and strung them about his neck so that he might consider his words with more care in the future. Okay, farewell. Thank you. My goodness. So, Fatebinder Nunoval. What about you, Fatebinder Kallio? Kire, I see you returned to the fold. Your exploits in Vendrian's Well are the matter of some discussion. The Fatebinder of Balance regards you with a discerning eye, and for a moment you feel as if she is trying to peer into the very depths of your mind. What can I do for you? Kallio touches gently hand to your shoulder even. Well, has anything happened while I was away? There have been whispers that Kane grew disloyal to Graven Ash's command during the campaign as Sur. I took up the mantle of investigating near Plains Gate and judging the rumors to be true, dispatched Kane by proclaiming Kyrus' Edict of Stone. The very earth turned against the traitorous Archon as the region split asunder in righteous judgment. How have you occupied your time in the bastard city? Tunon sends me on assignments here and there. I settle disputes between the locals when the educator is otherwise occupied. She smirks. Everything from trade disagreements to pushing Chorus's quarters out of basements. Real rewarding work, I'm sure. She waves it off. The glory of war is not an honor reserved to the likes of us. We're the fish swimming in Tunos' wake, picking up scraps along the way. We're rather large and imposing compared to the bottom feeders of the tiers, but fish all the same. I'd like to know more about Tunon. Tunon is our overlord, fair and exacting adjudicator. He speaks with the voice of Kyrus' law, and his word is judgment. All of this and more you can learn by asking him yourself. Go on. Does he intimidate you still? She suckles softly. I jest, of course. You seem to know much of my actions. Have you been spying on me? Don't act so surprised. It's my duty to ensure that those who operate under the Archgator's name adhere to the spirit of his law, if not the very letter. Of course, I've nothing to hide. So you say, but I have to weigh all evidence presented before me with an objective eye. Assume you are being watched, fatebinder, but don't concern yourself. That's no more than any citizen of the Empire can expect. What about the war? You are free to share them in my confidence. She leans in closer. Bloodshed and brutality reign supreme. Peace cannot follow such cruelty. Such is the price of conquest. We will bring order to the land ruled by greed and corruption. When we've shown them the true way of Kairos, the masses will weep their gratitude and beg for our favor. Since not to the assembled nobles in the entry hall, it has already begun. What about then this? Our armies squabble at each other's throats, divided we cannot win. I'm less concerned about the armies than the Archons themselves. There can be no order when mountains collide. Who could you see as champion? I guess I would have to choose the disfavored because of the fact that, like, both are at fault, but wonder. I guess I would still say disfavored. The disfavored, our elite troops will bring us the victory. There is wisdom behind your reasoning. Wars are won through cunning, strategy, and strength. The disfavored are outmatched only in numbers on the battlefield. Considering their opposition, Ashe and his soldiers more than make up the difference. Alright, what about you then, Fatebinder Roculus? Fatebinder, you return. Roculus looks you up and down with an inscrutable expression. You look as if you have questions for me to untangle. Ask, I am feeling generous. What to say? Tell me about some of the past Archons. Rin, the second Archon of Lightning, often struggled to control the power that roiled within him. If he suffered but a single slip of concentration, he risks an instant electrocution to his touch. Also, he claimed after killing the first Archon of Water to win a diplomatic embrace. Where did you study when you were younger? I've been a ward of the court for as long as I've been aware. As a child, I demonstrated fully perfect recall, and I absorbed all that Tunon and my tutors had to offer. I remember hating all the lectures and wishing I could learn at my pace. Funny how I envied the sages of the Tears, how they could spend their full lives reading and never exhaust their libraries. Of course, now the Vellum Citadel is nothing more than a burning waste. What do you think of the other Fatebinders? You'll need to be more specific than that, I'm afraid. There is one last count, slightly more than a handful of us. What about the Fatebinder of War? What's your opinion on him? Nunoval's keen, brash, and a hardy braggart with a fondness of bloodshed. He can be utterly unbearable at times. His justice is fair, even if he skews towards rather exacting and uncompromising punishment at times. What's your opinion on the Fatebinder of Balance? Callio's the finest among us. Her discerning is beyond reproach, and she is perhaps Tunon's favorite. She has a mind for suspicion and observation that makes others unease. We would operate within the confines of the law, have nothing to fear, of course. What's your opinion on me, then? You follow an orderly bad, regimented and organized, perhaps too orderly for our station, but that is neither here nor there if you execute your job with wisdom. Be sure you don't stray to the path of chaos. Down that way lies rebellion. It's like everyone's just saying that, hey, you should rebel, or then like, you shouldn't rebel, that will bring you in the bad place. Can you tell me about the old walls and the Bane? With which should I start? What about the old walls? We know little enough about the ancient structures, save that they predate all historical record. They predate. The forbidden ruins crisscross the tiers and north alike centuries before we raised our cities. The only one old enough to guess is likely Kairos. Tell me about Bane. The Bane are found in the old walls, but much of their defining qualities still escape me. They are creatures of smoke, claw, and fang. If you find yourself unfortunate enough to fight one, remember that spells are effective against them, but grab the attention of others lurking near. I'd like to know more about the tiers. So Pain, were they like... Spells are effective against them. So yeah. I'd like to know more about the tiers. The political entities of the tiers are essentially split between the bastard tiers, the younger realms, and the free cities. Of which would you like to know? What can you tell me about the bastard tier? The bastard tier is the most northern of the tiers, and was the first to bow to Kairos' reign. Though the knee they bend well unwillingly. Kairos had his eye on the bastard tiers for many years before he marched on her capital city. This is the hub of trade and commerce. Claim the markets and the people will follow. I'm curious to know more about the younger realms. The younger realms rule the middle and southernmost tiers and can be catalogued as follows: Apex, Azure, Haven, and Starward. Azure was renowned for its exceptionally fertile land which fed the full of the tiers. That was before Kairos' Edict of Stone blighted the land. Starward is also worth mention, for it compromises the pool of the southernmost tier, and proves the toughest and most defensible of the realms. It is often said that the other realms will not fall while Stalwart yet stands. The local army wages bitter war against the disfavored, though the Edict of Storms cut off the best of their defenses. It is only a matter of time before Stalwart walls. I would like to hear about the free cities. There are 3 free cities remaining: Last Harbor, Spiral Moor, and Barry's in Chains. The first and strongest of the free cities was the setting sun, which Kairos crushed in 429 with the Edict of Tumult. After that, the remaining free cities were quick to surrender. What about the sages? I will not speak of the sages. They are no better than charlatans and cons. Foolish selfish in their ill pursuit of hoard all knowledge from others. They are self-blinded by their own deceptions and clever manipulations. They alone cause their own undoing, and are solely to blame for the burning library, one of the most grievous of wrongs in the known histories of which they can never be forgiven. Alright.
Yes.
Well... My goodness. Let's go and talk to Tunon then, I guess. And I'll see if I need to talk to these guys afterwards, but I really... It's enough talking with them. I wanna go and meet Tunon. Right now.
I got it.
Alrighty. Hello, Tunon, our boss. Why enough? Why not? Or what are you saying? I'll talk to them afterwards, but enough reading for the moment. Especially, I hope that Tunon at least speaks for himself a little bit more. That's mainly the reason, really.
This civil war, this feud, is an insult to Kairos' peace. It should not have taken the better part of a year to silence the last vestiges of the Oathbreakers.
That is true. Tunon regards you in thoughtful silence. And yes, I agree, Your Honor.
Our allies squabble while our enemies regroup. It falls upon the court to measure the extent of the damage, and to execute the agents of disorder. I suspect that treachery, negligence, disunity, and greed have infected one or both of our esteemed allies. Until you are instructed otherwise, this matter is the court's primary focus.
Understood.
Graven Ash and the voices of Nerat must be examined in close detail. You are charged with observing the Archons and presenting your case that one of them has wrought chaos and disorder upon the tiers.
I will make this my mission, Your Honor.
As always, you will be held accountable for what you do in the court's name. But you are free to conduct your investigation in the manner of your choosing. You must expect lies, misdirection, and manipulation. Suffer not such obstructions of justice.
I will do my very best.
The disfavored seem the logical first step in your inquiry. The Legion holds you in some esteem. Engraven Ash has shown deference to the court in times past.
The Legion holds you in some esteem, and Graven Ash has shown deference to the court in times past.
No doubt the disfavored will be rife with accusations and evidence against the voices of Nerat. Graven Ash is a noble man, but never underestimate his capacity for deception. A wise general succeeds by knowing when to be unreadable to the enemy.
Makes sense.
You should, of course, speak with the Scarlet Chorus and gather their testimony. But it stands to reason that most in the chorus would sooner brag about a pauldron fashioned from your skull than entertain your questions. Do not regret killing the rabble that impede your investigation. They will be easily replaced.
Indeed. Especially around the Scarlet Chorus, they will be more easily replaced. As sus. I'll speak with the Archon of War.
Your fellow Fatebinders have been busy acting as my eyes and ears. I have a few leads for you to follow. You should, of course, speak with your brothers and sisters of the court if you need further counsel. The disfavored have made use of the Sage's network of dovecotes and messenger birds as they come under capture. I've heard multiple claims of strategic communications gone missing. The Sages are broken, their citadel in flames, but they were not slaughtered to the last. Some of their numbers still congregate around the smoking husk of their burning library. If they have been reading disfavored communications, learn what they learned, then execute them.
Do I have to execute them?
The Oathbreakers were reported to be using iron armaments, more than they might acquire from looting what few disfavored they killed. Any iron in the tiers not rusted through was made by forge-bound hands in Lethian's Crossing. Between craftsman and quartermaster, someone let iron fall into enemy hands. Investigate this matter and bring the thieves to justice.
So much work for us to do. So much work.
There is a final matter to discuss. A sensitive topic.
Though it's impossible to gauge from his expression, Tunon seems more wary than usual. What concerns the court, Your Honor?
In spite of the many shortcomings at Vendrian's Well, you managed to make a name for yourself. You proclaimed an Edict of Kairos, resolved its demanding conditions, and ascended the mountain spire.
Indeed, this is true.
Any one of these feats would be worthy of recognition by the highest authority. You managed to accomplish 3.
Tunon hovers in observance, awaiting a response. But yeah, like, first of all, we got on top of a spire that, to our knowledge, no one else has done. We also proclaimed another edict, like we had done before, but we also managed to stop that edict from happening. So it's quite a few things. Remain silent, yeah, just always remain silent. It's just another day. I'm in privileged position to accomplish incredible deeds.
It pleases me that you grasp your role, as long as you temper it with a sense of duty.
Yay. I grasp my role.
Whether by design or by accident, you have captured the attention of Kairos' army and the local tiersmen alike. This is no small opportunity, and the court charges you with exploiting your new standing to its fullest potential.
Will try to do my best, Tunon.
You have a title in our hierarchy. However, it's a little-known secret that one's standing in the world is determined by their infamy, their deeds, and how they come to be known. Mind this notion as you bring justice to this lawless frontier. There may come a time when your deeds speak for you louder than any title.
Makes sense.
Whatever you did to capture the attention of the masses at Vendrian's Well, I would encourage you to do so again.
I will try to be doing so then. Champion of Justice. Chaining chaos to my will. Understood. I will be known as a champion of justice. I wanna say it nonetheless.
Good. It falls to us to set a new standard for these southern barbarians. You are dismissed. Should the court have need of your presence, you will receive word. Go forth and do my bidding, and bring glory and honor to the tears in Kairos' name.
Tunon raps his gravel against the floor, and singular note resounds throughout the hall. And he's gone. Well, into the maelstrom, and now I can do all sort of things. I guess I can try to talk to him some more. It kind of feels a little bit wrong, but I guess I could, nonetheless. Your turn. It's gratifying to see that the war has not caused you to forget your roots. What is it that you wish to know? I have a request from Barik of the Stone Shields. And what does Barik of the Stone Shields want of the court? He has made his displeasure known in a loud enough voice to collapse the tears upon each other's. The adjudicator glares down at Barik. He came to inquire if the Wardsbound could help remove his armor.
Our time together has not gone to waste.
If he has become encased in iron, that is none of the court's concern. My Wardsbound smiths are occupied crafting weapons for the army, and I would not have their focus diverted to liberate one soldier from his raiment. Stoneshield, do the disfavored not have standards for the upkeep of arms and armor? Is this not one of your Archon's guiding principles? It is, Your Honor, but I found myself trapped in this junk pile after the Edict of Storm hit Starward. If we want to blame anyone, it should be Kairos. The adjudicator contemplates the matter in total silence. The moment drags on far longer than you would suspect it warrants, but Tunon's interest does not abate for a moment. The soldier will remain encased in this armor, eccentric though it may be, and all subjects of Kairos are forbidden to aid in its removal. Magic the likes of which none of us understand starts the stone shield, and we will not interfere with the will of Kairos. But I'm trapped. Barik trails off looking to you for answers, but I'm trapped. Ugh. Yeah, I am talking to Tunon again. I was indeed thinking that I do feel bad for Barik. I feel like I would want to say that could we not please reconsider? But I don't think he would like it if I would ask him to reconsider. So I kind of feel that we have to find our own answers, but I guess I will still say it. But yeah, it's like being trapped in it so that you can't do any of the normal things, like just tempting. But yeah, like so many just normal things that you would like to do, you can't. Like just visit in a bathroom normally, it's quite impossible. So that seems like the most horrible thing about it. Like, how does that work? So I guess I have to ask for Barik. Your Honor, could you not reconsider? I'm surprised and disappointed that you would even ask. Whatever you are trying to prove to your travel companion, the court finds it festering with sympathy and a lack of precedent. Such is the will of Kairos and the will of the court. Tuner nods and bangs his cable. Yeah. You tried, and I suppose that counts for something. The educator didn't say anything about me bending my way out of here, at least. Not that trying has ever made it better. Yeah, I'm sorry, Barrick. I was thinking indeed that I have a feeling that this won't be working out. Tell me about Kairos. Kairos is our overlord. She ushers us from the brink of chaos with a stern hand and gestures to the way of peace. We are only too eager to follow in her perfect example. How old is Kairos? By our reckoning, her age upon Terratus is magnificent. Her true span defies measurement by a limited construct of time. It would be a waste to spend our few pitiful years attending to solve that riddle of existence. Think of Kairos not as subject, the beginning or endings. Kairos is, and Kairos will ever be. It's the good question though. Is Kairos actually like that, or is it like one family that just like there is always a new Kairos that just comes to the rolling or something? Or is it truly that Kairos is just the everlasting being? That's a good question, but on the other hand, he can do magnificent things like the edicts and so on and forth. So, maybe. What is your relationship to Kairos? She's my master and I, her dutiful pupil. In this respect, you and I are no different. I have the honor of Kairos' confidence. She trusts me to enact her law upon the boundless territory of her rule. I am only too grateful to serve. I am the voice of Kairos' will, the harbinger of her judgment, and the arm of her justice. Do you think Kairos' laws are fair? Like, I shouldn't even ask. That is an irrelevant question. Kairos' law. It is the responsibility of fairness to confirm the Kairos' definition of it, and anyone who believes otherwise is an agent of anarchy. Contemplate this as you deliver Kairos' peace to the frontier. If you fail to understand the importance of and immutable of Kairos' law, then your work is but a perversion of justice. I couldn't help notice that you refer to Kairos as a woman. Like, I can't even ask things. Beware of the trajectory of thought. Save for her perfection, there is little about Kairos to which we could ascribe recognizable attributes. A power as distant and unknowable as the Overlord should transcend our petty dualities. Male, female, it makes no difference. Kairos is mother to us all. Something else. Tell me about Paladin Mark. He is my headsman and an assassin without equal. His official designation in Kairos' hierarchy is the Archon of Shadows, though I wonder that he ever considers himself aught but the slayer of the unjust. How did he earn his title? His work away from the court takes Paladin Mark to the dark places of the world, the tiers and northern empires alike. Over time, shadows became his dominion. They cloak him, protect him, and even fight for him if the need arises. It is said that Paladin Mark can travel to any place where shadows are cast. Only he would know this for certain. Does Paladin Mark serve you alone? Your question is flawed. We all are servants of Kairos. The Archons are also agents of their own interests. Those chosen few empowered to bring order to the world in accordance with Kairos' peace. At present, Paladin Mark is my vassal, and I his patron. The relationship is not so different from Craven Ashe and Gurn, the fallen Archon, or the voices of Nerat and his songbird, Sirin. Such partnerings and apprenticeships are common. They provide mutual benefits to the Archons involved as well as a measure of oversight. Huge success, Pike, or Pete. Judging by Tuno's reaction, there is a chance you won't leave this room alive. Yeah, you ask weird things as servant of Kairos, but But it's like the questions are there, so I wish games had alternative ways to acquire knowledge than to ask stupid questions. Yeah, it is true, but like it's still like the questions are there, so I would like to still ask, but it's like, I can't even ask. Back to my other questions. I'm curious about you, Archon. Curiosity is not a trait that I encourage in my servants. Too often have I witnessed such activity leading down a path of lawlessness. However, if you feel that a better understanding of me will inform your work, then I will allow it. What would you know? Did you come up with the office of Fatebinders? Indirectly, yes. Just as I am the representative of Kairos' law across Turtles, you are the face of my judgment for the people. I took inspiration from the Overlord's example, as we all should. The people needed an approachable face to settle their grievances, and I am not available to educate on every scarecropper's dispute. The Fatebinders were an inevitable solution. Why is curiosity such a problem? Because my vassals are not selected for their independence of thought. You are an agent of law, the execution of which falls within strict confines. Your intellect may aid the task ahead of you, but your unwavering obedience is of greater value to me. I guess I want to say I understand Archon rather than the third option, even though that's what I really personally would rather want. Like, to fit any circumstance, yeah. Because after all, like Kairos' laws, how should you read them? Sometimes anyways could be a question, but okay, I understand, Archon. Be sure that you do. What's the deal with your mask? Yeah, that's like this stupid question. This should be obvious to you now, students. Since the answer is relevant to your duties, I will tolerate your ignorance and explain. The face is an uncontrollable warren of muscle spasms and reactionary contortions, sickening in its display of every petty bias. It cannot be trusted to audience or just a dispute without navigating a gauntlet of subjectivity for all to witness. Go on. In my early days, before the Northern Empire spread to my lands, I fashioned the mask of listening out of stern, uncaring wood. This expression of enduring patience hearkens the testimony of my petitioners, taking in all evidence before weighing matters in their due course. Later in my career, Kairos herself gifted me the mask of resolve. You will find it almost identical to the mask of listening, save for the brow furrowed to contemplation and faded down by the burden of judgment. This is the face that dispenses law, often the most exacting and unforgiving sort. I wore it when I brought Kairos' devastation judgment to the Bastard City, and doubtless I will wear it again. Fine, I won't be asking the other questions. It's just someone put her to the pit. The kid aside, yeah, well, I wish games, yeah, had the alternatives. But yeah, I won't be asking about that. He's just gonna hate me if I ask about all of these things. This is so stupid. The mask itself would give that power, sure. So... Tell me about your rise to becoming an adjudicator. Curb your ambitions, student. My path to this dice is not one that could be replicated under any circumstances. However, if your curiosity is determined, I will tell you my story. I wish to understand law and your execution of it. Yay, lore experience. An admirable pursuit. You know much of Kairos' law and the maintenance of order already. My history may tell you something of how it can be used to win wars. I came into the world centuries ago, before the dreams of an unified Northern Empire was fully realized. My home country lay far from the borders of Kairos' realm, and our conquest was a matter of distant speculation. Decades before rumors of Kairos' approach grew in panicked volume, I familiarized myself with the intricacies of her law. It took me no time at all to realize the benefits of our inevitable subjugation. I took it upon myself to rise in my country's covenants as an arbiter of law and drafter of covenants, building some notoriety for my execution of fair justice. As my influence and the trust of my people evolved, my decisions transcended to define future precedent. Go on. What my countryman could not have surmised was that I had woven into our customs the very backbone of Kairos' law. I set the stage for the conquest of our floundering nation to join the Overlord's empire. By the time the Overlord's armies presented themselves and offered terms of surrender, we had adopted Kairos' peace in all but name. Our absorption into the Northern Empire was a matter of legal formality, negligible changes to our already beloved document of law. The people credited me as the architect of peace, and for a time called me Tunon the Fair. As my importance grew in their estimate, Kairos could not help but learn of the part I played in her bloodless victory. Kairos' law has spread of intricacies that is unapproachable to the masses. I was chosen to interpret and represent the Overlord's will across the Northern Empire and beyond, this time as adjurator. It is my pride, my duty, my life. Alrighty. Matters of the law. Then you are well situated, for my court is the legal heart of this corrupt and uncivilized realm. What matters draw your curiosity? You are already well versed in Kairos' laws, but I am happy to discuss the particularities. Of course I'm beholden to these laws, just like anyone else is. I really would want to know how he, from normal man, turned in his cloudy form. Yeah, that's a good question, but who can say what happened? Let us discuss the old walls. The old walls are forbidden, as are their countenance and their denizens. Owning any item from the old walls is considered trespass, regardless of how it came into your possessions. Mind that in course of your travels. As the old walls extend across much of the tiers and Northern Empire alike, Kairos permits her servants to pass only where she has sculpted the landscape to permit traverse. Under no circumstances are you to enter a breach in the old walls, even for a task as innocent as crossing to the other side. If these restrictions seem too severe, I would remind you that they are for the protection of Kairos' subjects. The Overlord has no desire to see harm needlessly inflicted upon her loyal followers. That's kind of bad, because I think the spire that I need to go to is like that possible break on the wall there, but I don't know how it was exactly. Remind me of the magician's folly. Practitioners of the arcane arts must be sanctioned by one of Kairos' guilds, such as the Bloodchanders or Watchbounds. Rogue magicians with the tenuous grasp of unknown powers will not be tolerated. Ep lowers her gaze to the ground, thumping the cord of her bandolier in a thinly veiled attempt to appear uninvolved in the discussion. Completely uninvolved, yes. So long as your Tidecaster remains your deputy, she will have the protection of the court. But not a moment longer. I must allow you to have the most fearsome agents at your side to dispense justice, but you remain culpable for her actions. So if I start fondling that tall slab of handsome over there, you are the one guilty of molesting him? I can live with this. Yeah, great. She points to Nunoval, who suffers nervously at Ep's glance. Glares silently at Ep. A sanctioned maze whose spellcasting causes damage to life or property is lawfully deemed innocent. As long as they practice their art in the service of Kairos, all is forgiven. I don't want to ask all of these goddamn things right now. And anyways, I don't know if I should ask everything, considering how fratful he already got many times over. Sure, that's all for now. Farewell. I've had enough. Well, at least Barry gained a level up from that, apparently. It's normal. Well, maybe I will ask a little bit later, but on the other hand, there is the problem of him being so goddamn fratful towards me. I don't like him being so fratful towards me. I would prefer him not to be so fratful towards me. Well, at least he has a lot more favor than frat still. But I don't want to get all the way to the same amount of frat as favor, so this is like... dishonest chaotic ways. I ask questions! How can it be so disloyal? I'll take one more accuracy. What from here then, eh? Future increases the number of enemies that Barry can engage. I would like that. Defensive penetration shields. I would like that too. That's cool, I guess. Barry and nearby party members take reduced damage, but that is a certain thing that he has to cast, so to speak. Plus 40% to shield effectiveness sounds pretty cool. Plus 2 enemies engaged, that's quite a lot. I do like that. That he can engage more enemies first and foremost. So I'll take that. But laws are important. Fine, let's ask the freaking rest of the questions. Matters of the law. Quotas and sharing. The harvest blooms and plights by the will of Kairos. In times of lean, you will be fed. In times of wealth, you will feed others. This law is sizable category unto itself, serving many needs at once, trade and tax being only 2 examples. The proudest intent of the law is to empower Kairos' subjects to care for their neighbor and expect care in return. Just and need to know law. Well, but I thought that I knew this to some degree at the very least. Like, I said that it's to serve masses, their laws, and it's kind of true, like, how he is saying it. Of course, a little bit different words. You might take note of the law's application to trade. A merchant's right to peddle their wares is defined by permits granted annually. The regional authority has the right to decide if a merchant sells cabbage 1 year and sandals the next. Anyone breaking through their restrictions is subject to immediate forfeiture of all assets. You need not concern yourself over the nuances, at least until they apply to this contested realm in a time of peace. I am curious about the restrictions of forbidden knowledge. The Kairos itself set the standards of what can be and cannot be known. These restrictions are rarely enforced, but they are worth taking into account. Is it just because Kairos doesn't want anyone else to know the things that he knows and get in the same sort of a position? Is that it? During the war, for example, Kairos deemed the knowledge of the Vellum Citadel taboo. No one may possess the wisdom of that fallen repository save Kairos herself. Yeah, well... This is for the protection of her subjects. Before the coming of Kairos, during the ages of anarchy and discord, powerful knowledge in undeserving hands leveled empires without thought or mercy. Kairos has no desire to revisit those dark times. Yeah, but they themselves can proclaim edicts of all sorts to get this peace to happen. So... Remind me how the Overlord's name may be best used. It is not forbidden to cross one's tongue with Kairos' name, but it behooves one to use caution and respect. The Overlord's name is not yours to give, whether the progeny, product, location, or obstruction. Slander of the Overlord is punishable by death. There is only one Kairos, and her name is safeguarded. No one may say Kairos and have it obstructed by a second meaning. Neither will her name be associated to trivialities. A gambler will not attribute his fortune to Kairos' luck, or his misfortune to Kairos' scorn. Such an association lowers the overlords in the public estimate, and is rightly considered slander most foul. I wish to discuss Kairos' peace. The cornerstone of our wartime effort, of course. Kairos' peace guarantees all willing supplicants under the Overlord's authority is a place in her world. The exact wording of the bylaw is, your life is not yours to discard, and the Overlord has plans for you. This extends to several spheres of influence. Among others, it grants protection to enemies who surrender in the time of war, and it forbids suicide. To dispense with the Overlord's vassal and property is prohibited. Am I beholden to these laws? Obviously. But I guess I'll ask it then. That should not be in question. We are all subject of Kairos. Her laws define and regulate our very way of life. With that said, as an agent of law, you are granted more leeway than a soldier or citizens. Yes, that also is logical enough. You may find yourself compelled to commit morally questionable acts in the name of Kairos. If it serves the court's justice, much may be forgiven. So the rules don't apply to you as long as you're enforcing them on someone else? I want your job. I can believe that. If the court finds any of your actions suspect, we will summon you to answer for yourself. Your testimony will be heard and judgment rendered. You are exceedingly curious about the application of Kairos' law. I find it refreshing that you would seek my counsel, Fatebinder. Yay! Something that I do at least good, even though I ask about, especially Kairos, about stuff that you wouldn't want to tell me. But, let's see, was there anything else I should... Fine, let's ask, what does it mean to be an Archon? I'm a figure of power and significance, and under Kairos' mandate I am able to exercise my authority for the benefit of all. I had not earned the Overlord's approval. Had I not earned Overlord's approval, I would not stand tall before you. Did you come into power yourself, or did Kairos foster your talents? An astute question. Doubtless I exhibited some sparks of potential of my own. Insignificant, though enough to accomplish deeds of note. Only under Kairos' tutelage have I grown to these heights. Could anyone become an Archon? Absolutely not. Only a precious few grow into this authority. Were it otherwise, their others would descend into pandemonium. Of those few who rise into power, few still have the self-control to make lawful use of their talents. And of those who can, fewer still are deemed worthy of Kairos' approval. And is every Archon subservient to Kairos? Yes. All are subservient before Kairos, but I intuit your meaning. The Overlord takes great pains to recognize potential. Before an Archon comes into their power, they will have faced their harshest scrutiny by an agent of recruitment, if not Bladen Markins. Oh my god, I can't talk. Those who are found worthy of incredible deeds but refuse to join their strength to the needs of the Empire are doomed to die. Those who wish to make name for themselves are invited into the fold to serve and rule the needs of the Empire. That is the price of power in Kairos' hierarchy. Thank you. Okay.
I got it.
Everything asked, everything talked. I have a lot of frat from him and a lot of good stuff. Ah, yeah, the level up bonuses for a short moment. I was like, what's that actually? But okay, I think we'll be ending for here then today. I guess I could quickly check if these guys have anything else to say. Then it's a question if I want to talk to them before leaving, considering there was... but I did talk to them, so I guess I don't need to talk to them again. Yeah. Because there was saying that we could be talking to them about some of the things that we should do or something. But I guess there isn't really what I have to worry about too much right now. Okay. I'd immolate your right where you stand if it weren't for Tunon's breathing down our necks. How nice. He ignores you with a stern and distant expression. Blood mulch. Fatebinder, you're no stranger to Tunon's court, but I prefer to spend as little time here as possible. In spite of these closed walls, I feel strangely exposed. He glances up at Tunon. Fair warning, when you spanked Ash, you were as good as signing your debt warrant, but we shouldn't discuss such matters in court of law. You'll make our time in the tears an interesting one, won't you? He smiles for an uncomfortably long time. Of course you will. How nice of them. They're just nice fellas. So nice. So very nice. Hey, this favorite. Didn't think I'd make it out of the pass alive. You've done well for the Legion, Fatebinder. Anything beats a prolonged siege, eh, Fatebinder? Enjoy the war while you can. Fatebinder, the lieutenant gives you a curt nod. I'm ill at ease in this polished ball, but I admit that it's a reprieve from the battlefield and training grounds. If Ashe needs me to stay here and represent his interests throughout the occupation, then I'll be up to the task. It can't be worse than our days in the Legions Crossing. Joking aside, you were generous to grant this favorite control over the city. Even the Iron Legion needs a break from the front every once in a while. Yay. Let's see, how much did I actually have favor with them? That's the spot. Very little of anything. Maybe slowly getting into the frat place, maybe. Here at least I have a lot. Favor of the Fatebinder even. That's the one that I gained a long time ago, and this was then allied, not self-target, shielded for 80 damage for 30 seconds. Interesting. Grants damage absorption shield to the target. Well, that's something I have already then. So that's cool. Ventrian Guard. There's a lot of freaking brat. Legions Crossing is a little bit going towards favor, but not yet that much. Barrick, of course, has now done enough favor at least. And, well, versus a little bit of everything. A little bit of both, not that much. No specific bonuses from here though. Blade and Mark is nothing at this moment. Archon of Shadows rumor makes him Kairos' deadly assassin, though few will willingly speak of him for fear of drawing his gaze. Blade and Mark was pleased by your sly ways, apparently somewhere. I wonder where. What did I do? What made me so sly? And then there's a lot of red from the voices of Nerat. What a surprise. What a big surprise about that. But okay, next time we can then be leaving somewhere else. But apparently something's gonna happen still. Ah, Blade and Mark made himself know. Welcome back, kid. Amusing as it would have been to watch the edict drop, I guess I'm glad you lived. Blade and Mark, Archon of Shadows, rises from the faraway stare, turning to face you with a fried smile. Though he stands still, he seems to shift in and out of shadows that shroud him. I've gained more favor with him. Here you drew your rings on Craven Ash's side. Not a bad bet to pick the Archon of War. But tell me the truth, did you go with Ash because it seemed like the right thing to do, or because supporting the voices was a worse option? Archon of the Elderly. No, not gonna say that. Did you go with Ashe because it seemed like the right thing to do, or because supporting the voices was a worse option? Like, bit of both, and yeah, I can always declare silently. He is here, I think, at the entrance. You can talk to him. Yeah, he certainly was. He certainly was, and yeah, I could still clear silently, but that's not what I wanna do. No. But this is true. I'm gonna say this. What sane creature would trust the voices of Nerat? fear with verse. One does like to win a battle every once in a while. At least the voices of the art isn't consumed by grief or hesitation like some Archons I know. Service, sure, but don't mistake him. The Archon of Secrets thrives on mistrust. When anyone believes you're lying, speaking the truth is a fine blade with which to cut your enemy. All that matters is that the Edict of Execution was said. Those stationed at Vengeance Well should be thanking you for their lives. Now, I assume you're off to go meet with Ash, but first, you and I need to have a little chat. I'm listening. Everyone's keeping an eye on you, because you did something nobody has done before. Got a guess as to what that might be? Well, quite a few things, but I'm not sure if that's true or not. That could be. That's probably true. That's not true. At least like some other people have done it too. I don't know if it's a fatebinder, but yeah, that's not true. This is definitely true. Evasive stance against your rhetorical questions, that would be a funny answers. And the first fate one of Kairos has decided to promote some position of authority. I don't think exactly so. And the first fatebinder to awaken a spire of the old walls. You're not wrong. That was definitely a shock. But I doubt it's the sole reason you've made the tears tremble. Proclaiming an edict isn't new. Neither is surviving or resolving the commandments of an edict. But you are the first to proclaim and resolve the very same edict. And it didn't kill you. So at least something new in that. In one fell swoop, you survived your second edict, resolved the very one you had proclaimed, and woke an arcane structure that had slept for several centuries. And now I go on your short list of people who stand out as potential problems, question mark. More or less, mostly more. He offers you a dangerous grin. I'm getting favor with him at least with this. Great with verse. Archon of Elderly. What's your problem? Yeah, it's just so weird. Like, Archon of Elderly. Hey there. I don't care what you do with the information, but you should know the danger you're now that you've put yourself on the map. Sticking with the disfavored is a smart idea, kid. At least smarter than getting mixed up with the Archon of Secrets. You'll never really be one of them, but if you value Ash's warriors, they'll serve you the best they can. Thanks for the advice. More favor. The Archon of Shadows shrugs to you in farewell, but his golden eyes are alight with interest as he watches you. I guess I can talk to you more, actually. Alright. I'm curious.
Will do.
The reason you're caping at me like you just caught at you, kid, like I just caught at you, kid, or do you just like to stand around and stare? That bracer you're wearing is rather eye-catching. I bet you're thinking something like it'll look even better on you, alright, kid? This, he waves his arm in the air, examining the back, blacker than black bracer, the strapping armlet, that appears simultaneously solid as obsidian and diaphanous as a sigh, almost a living, pulsing thing. That be my binding of shadows, want it? Damn straight I do. No, I couldn't really. But you must take it now. I insist, if only so I can see the expression on your face when you slip it on. His eyes gleam with a dark interest, a sly amusement as he watches you. His expression a mask of shifting shadows to hide his true intent. The party has received Binding of Shadows, achievement unlocked legendary, apparently. With a gruff grunt and some difficulty, he ratchets the bracer off. So it is solid after all, and tosses it to you one-handed. Go with it, he warns when you accept the gift. Not only weapons can be double-edged swords. Well, thank you. I'm not really sure if I should have taken that. And yeah, I'm gonna be ending the stream very soon anyway, so good night and sweet dreams, Milan. I hope you have a good weekend. Why? Be rough with him. ... Alright. Shadows. Binding of Shadows. Let's have a look into it. Unarmed attack. Renown. Shadows Embrace. Artifact ability. It's very specific ability. Shade Skin. -10 to all damage taken. Unarmed attack, of course, would be quite a bit if I would be doing something like that. Its armor is good. Then Shadows Embrace. Shift into shadow version of yourself. While in this form, deal bonus arcane damage with each attack and gain bonus damage reduction. This effect scale with Binding of Shadows Renown. This bracer, one worn by Bladed Mark, is made of an unfamiliar substance. Part velvet, soft darkness, and part hard and insect chitin. Or chitin, shitting. I don't know. What is it? Chitin? Chitin. It is said that the darkness is more oppressive when an Archon of Shadows walks the face of Teratus. The mask stemming from his power draws on the substance of shadows with an air of welcome and invitation. Treating the dark less as something more than the arcane force. As such, a bracer that allows the wearer to embody their darker self has overtones of danger and risk. Just looking at it too closely causes your vision to swim and sends waves of nausea rolling through your gut. Well, that's interesting. Bladed Mark likes me pretty well. No rat yet. Bladed Mark was impressed by your cunning ways. Lots of cunning, apparently. I didn't know that I was so cunning. Yeah, our first legendary item, apparently. It does, like, at least if it gets better, then yeah, I guess it is very cool. Like, giving us the more arcane damage plus, then I don't know.
I'll just hold on to this.
Reputation ability unlocked. What does it mean? Is it in here? Shadows Embrace, not in combat, one spare rest. Shift into Shadows version of yourself. Well, that's interesting for sure.
On it.
Thank you for that. Thank you very kindly. Alrighty. Never used it. You can upgrade items torch later. Yeah, I have to think about it. But yeah, it seems like an interesting item at the very least. But hey, nonetheless, I'll be ending today into here. We did quite a bit nonetheless, mostly talking really. Today was just about talking, coming to the Archon's court, talking to everyone at least in here, and then talking to all of our allies, getting a few merchants. All sort of stuff. Just like trying to look, was there something else in there, but yeah. And then got the good just higher stuff, of course. But yeah, at least I wanna be then going into the... let's press from here. Yeah, to the Sunset Spire / to this location. Obviously enough, this area we're gonna be exploring first for a certainty. Then after that we can be thinking what do we wanna exactly do in here. Like, there's a lot of decisions to be made. I kind of feel that I want to be at least going into here to the Burning Library, but would I then go here or here rather? Both of them are really interesting and intriguing, and I would like to go into both of them, but I probably have to do the choice between these two, but that's gonna take a while anyways. And thank you all for watching. Thank you all for watching. I'll just be indeed saving here properly into a proper save. And yeah, I'll be ending the recording first here, so base of disfavored. Yeah, base of disfavored was there. Yeah, they did want us to go there, so I guess I should go there first, but nonetheless, otherwise the plan remains relatively the same. But okay, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you for more next time. I probably won't have the stream next Friday, unfortunately, because I need to still visit quickly at my parents' place before my studies start really properly. So next weekend probably won't have, but at least Yakuza on Sunday still, this Sunday. So yeah, unfortunately we'll have to skip a little bit more, but well, that's okay, Tayunda. After all, it was mostly just reading anyways, so you didn't miss that much, Tayunda. So anyways, I'll end here the recording, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.